Golly. Do y'all feel lucky, punks?
Well,
Do you? Yuck.
yes.
Now you're just doing goofy.
Yuck. Of course.
Now we're getting into copyright infringement, something fierce.
We're not on the internet yet, are we?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, we are on the internet.
Yeah.
Well, hi.
Well, hi.
Pretty much as soon as we finish
Howdy.
recording the intro now.
How
just
you
start.
doing?
Hey there, internet. How y'all are doing?
Can you hear us on the wireless?
On the transistor radio.
I did not know we were on the internet. I'm mildly embarrassed now.
Okay.
Cool.
Why?
It was all going to go in a bonus episode anyway.
Cool guy.
And how about a tweet?
Oh, how about a tweet?
How about
a tweet?
Hey, Chuckles. Why don't you gin us up a tweet or two?
Oh, it's...
Holy Christ.
What the fuck is happening right now?
Oh, well, I forgot I had my music song.
Oh, my God.
Jesus.
The internet was just talking to me out my information plate.
How by the holler?
It was a holler.
Oh, the holler down yonder. Okay.
What? Hey, y'all.
What?
He said to the internet, tapping into it.
Oh, man.
Hoo-hoo.
Hoo-hoo indeed.
And...
And see.
My tribute to Pat Buttram. 1 star. Oh, we're in. We got 4 retweets already. Hot diggity damn.
Man, y'all are tweeting up
All
some
of us
shit.
up in here, right? Oh, jeez, don't go down.
Are you alive?
Nope.
Gulp.
I'm down.
Go. Go.
Man.
Woo.
Gotta talk about some Dollman.
Woo.
Dollman.
We got to talk about how he enters the room.
Hey, Butthorn.
Your worst nightmare, Butthorn.
Yeah.
What is this?
McBain.
Yeah.
This is gonna be our new show. Is just us reenacting scenes from all the movies we've done, except in yokel voice.
Bird season's
Because-
over, Butthorn.
Because if so, then count me in.
Yeah.
Sign my name on the dotted line.
I done already killed you in my mind.
Well, that's the thing. You don't even need to do it for text.
You
Sneaky
You sneaky Japanese.
Oh, yeah. Yes, text will be the only one who's like a news anchor accent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We'll get Michael Caine to come in and do text. Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine is going bad. I done opened the package.
I think we've scared everybody.
Yeah, sorry.
it's also, well, it's a Tuesday, so.
Yes, for me it was a Tuesday.
Man.
Woo.
I think I finally popped that aneurysm.
Cool.
Well, it's about time.
I don't think that's how they work.
You've been building that.
Forced it through. Save yourself $45 at the clinic.
Oh, that's pretty good for an aneurysm.
Hey,
Got a
You've
coupon.
been going to discount aneurysms, all right?
Yeah, discountaneurysms.com.
Come on down. We got two
Hey,
for one
this week the BMFcast is sponsored by discountaneurysms.com.
We'll done pop that bubble for you.
Use promo code BMF at checkout to get 10% off your aneurysm.
Use promo code ampersand and lowercase. I don't know. We were having one when we typed it out.
Just 7 periods and then
And the space bar for like 45 minutes.
You know why you got that aneurysm? It's your mattress. At least some mattresses
yeah.
will fix that aneurysm.
that's right. Comes in a box.
Buy a mattress in a box.
Dude, spring out like a snake when you open that box. It's like a rattler. Just watch it.
Just stand
Except
back.
it's a mattress you sleep on.
Here comes a mattress.
And here's the best part. You don't have to buy it. You can lease it.
Oh my God.
Go to leaseamattress.com/BMF.
Who's Lisa Mattress? I don't know her.
She's a girl down the street. Man,
She opened a mattress store.
You're the only one. Am I right?
there's a reason.
Are you talking about Lisa Kitchen Floor? Oh, I know her.
Same neighborhood.
You meant Lisa bent over the hood of the truck. I remember her.
Oh, that's my favorite song.
Oh,
You're just thinking of something horrible and you can't get it out.
Remember we were on the internet.
yep.
All right.
Lisa, I'm not gonna say that in public.
Put a
We
safe,
just called
put a
her
safety
Lisa
pin in that one.
Anal.
Lisa in the butt.
Yeah, Lisa butt stuff.
There's a whole bunch of Lisas in this town, and they're all nasty.
How did this start? How did this even start?
Lease a mattress.
Yes.
Or the rest of the stuff.
All of it. How did we get here?
This is my beautiful house.
for you. Yes, I am.
No butt.
Like 8 years ago, Harlow came to Mackie and
Yeah,
I
when
and said,
podcasters love each other very much.
Oh, you pollinated.
Right. Have Skippy.
Oh, you pollinated. Well.
Oh, skate, motherfucker.
that voice is just so much louder than a regular voice.
Well, yeah, it has to be. You gotta get it out there.
I'm all the way back here, and everybody can hear me fine.
Why you hollering?
What?
You whooping and hollering over there. You causing a ruckus.
It's where I'm from. It's what I do. Holler. Jesus.
Man, I still remember, which one was it? Stuntman Ignition that had, you were filming all the scenes from movies and one of them was called Whoopin' and Hollering.
Yes.
And I was like, I would 100% watch Whoopin' and Hollering,
sure would.
especially based on the stunts I did in that run in that fucking truck.
Yeah.
That was almost impossible.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the shitty truck.
Yep.
Whoopin' and Hollering.
Whooping and hollering.
Whoopin' and Hollering.
I much prefer whooping and hollering too.
Well, actually, I think that's what you were filming for,
Yeah.
was Whoopin' and Hollering 2.
Yeah.
I think that was the best part of it, was the implication that you were making a
Make it
sequel
a better,
to
bigger,
Whoopin'
better.
and Hollering.
Whooping and hollering. No, undo that.
How many movies has somebody allowed this man to make?
Too many.
37.
52.
Holy shit.
Well, okay, not all of them are out just yet.
Oh, good.
He's
There's still
got some in the
time.
works.
I
Minus
thought he
about 5.
retired.
He's got 4 announced and 1 in post-production. Interstellar Civil War.
Oh, who's in that?
Let's find out.
Captain America, Iron Man, Dollman?
Nobody I've ever
Nobody.
heard of.
of course.
No, like
Couldn't
literally
even get a
nobody.
Michael Madsen in there?
Nope.
Wow.
Looks like a lot of ladies.
Hey, ladies.
Hey, ladies.
Ha. Well,
Yep.
Whew, now that my voice is wrecked.
Once
let's do it.
again,
Yeah.
2 hours worth of podcast.
got all the jokes out.
Yeah.
Let's get serious.
Well, we can't make jokes about Dollman.
no, we
It's
cannot.
the most serious of the Dollmen. I'm just going to cover him up with this nice...
I love that the YouTube people get the best shit. And then the rest of
And
them,
the patrons.
like the actual podcast, everyone's like,
Patrons
whatever.
get the good shit.
Patrons get good shit.
Yeah. They get all our jokes. they paid for that.
They did.
They did. As much as $1. Or
As-
And we
as
appreciate
little as
every
$1.
dollar that they have
We do.
given.
minus taxes and fees.
Well, of course.
You give us dollars so we make no sense.
That's kind of been our MO. hasn't it?
That's deep. Let's fucking do this.
Let's fucking do this.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
have warped the internet enough.
All right.
Yeah. Get all your sniffles.
Man,
Everybody just.
clogged my ear doing that.
Wow. You guys really put the hurt on yourselves.
Okay.
Christ's sake, Chuck.
Sorry. Just getting into character.
What the God are
Got to
you
get
doing?
out of that other character and
Oh.
into this character.
Into the Chuck
Into
character.
the Chuck persona.
Gotta get chucking. Get chucking. Keep
Root beer.
on a chucking.
All right. Everybody ready?
Lubed up. Ready to go. I say all right.
All right. Welcome to the BMFcast.
Hey, BMFcast.
BMFcast.
Good job, Wonder Twin Powers.
Episode 357.
Yeah.
A harmonious episode.
Yes.
Bang, bang.
So I'm Harlow.
I'm Mackie.
I'm BJ.
I'm Chuck.
And what we do each and every episode of the BMFcast is we go and we watch ourselves a quote-unquote bad movie. Come in here and talk about it for the first half. Mm-hmm. Then we rate them. Good bad movies, enjoyable bad movies. They get 1 to 5 jocks and robot jocks.
Robot jocks. Oh, no.
All right, Robot Talks.
However, there are bad movies. Doesn't stay away. They get a negative sliding scale, 1 to 5 bags, as in douchebags, after Twilight.
Oh,
A boo.
Boo indeed.
gross.
So 2017 is here.
Yay!
Yay!
And guess who's back?
Shady?
No. Albert Pune.
Oh, no.
That's
He's
Wow,
a little,
that was-
I mean, that might be a little shady. Sometimes why he makes movies.
Okay.
Yeah, we're doing 1991's Dollman.
Dollman.
Yeah.
From the Full Moon people.
Yeah, this was an Audible.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to switch it up because we weren't going to like the other one.
Audible.com/BMFcast.
Yeah.
No.
Brought to you by... No.
Yeah. No.
But
that
free
decision was
last minute
made.
Last minute switch up.
Yeah. We
Sorry, patrons.
called in an audible.
Yep.
But let's get a plot summary for Dollman, and we'll talk more about it.
All right.
A hard-boiled intergalactic policeman lands on Earth where he is only 12 inches tall. Or 13, as they keep saying in the movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
That's it. That's all I wanted to read. That's all really... I mean, really, that sums up the whole damn movie, basically.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, we could just take... just rate it and let's go home.
Oh, sure. Okay.
I am home.
Chuck, what was the alternate title that you found of this?
Microcop.
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 God, I'd watch Microcop.
Oh, we
man.
did.
And
Yeah,
in
we did,
1991, they could have probably still got the Micro Machines guy just
Yeah.
to show up for no reason.
Microcop.
Well,
They could've
Look, he's
done
only 12 years old.
Could have done a RoboCop parody trailer.
Well, the thing is, like, the way this movie starts off, you're almost better off not knowing a plot synopsis.
Yeah.
True.
Because it starts off on an alien planet.
I didn't know.
Arturos,
All
believe
these
it's called.
years of seeing this in the video
Yeah.
store, I never knew
Well, yeah.
that's what this movie was about. I
Yeah,
honestly
well, I
thought
mean, like-
he controlled like dolls to
Yeah.
like fight things.
Or he was like a cop and his name was Frank Dollman or something, you know?
yeah, no idea.
But, you know, or like Microcop. But you don't know that, okay, he's going to end up on Earth and he's going to be 13 inches tall.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, no.
But that's exactly what happens. Yeah. Although the first, 15 minutes, aside from 7 minutes of credits, is on an alien planet. Where
7
everyone
minutes? Is that all?
It felt longer
There
than
are a
that.
lot of credits.
Yeah.
In a 79-minute movie.
Yes. But no, it starts out on their native planet of
Arturo?
Arturos.
Arturos.
Arduino.
Yeah. And it looks like shitty future world, I guess. There's a matte painting that looks cool, and they shine some flashlights on it to make
Yeah.
it look like cars going by.
Yeah, I like it.
And make little sounds. But then we're just sort of led to a laundromat because we're watching a guy who's being chased by a light.
Carrot Top.
Yes. A man in a bad Carrot Top wig is being chased by what's supposed to be a helicopter searchlight kind of thing, but it's just they're shining a light on that guy.
Yeah, shitty video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, CCTV video
Yeah, for
And
no
he-
reason.
I mean, he's
And
just
because it's-
he's terrible at running away. He's like just basically standing.
Well, he
in-
goes from pillar to pillar.
Yeah.
And because it's Albert Pune, we see this filmed about 7 different ways, even though it's the same action,
yeah.
so that it lasts about 3 or 4 minutes before he finally gets into the laundromat.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole bunch of people in there who just kind of stand there staring at him.
You mean a whole bunch of fat people?
A whole bunch of fat people.
Yeah,
they
they make a
won't-
point to
yeah.
tell us how many
It's
that they're fat often.
They make such a point to mention the fat people that I couldn't figure out like if this was some sort of like
Reference to something or
Or like a separate race on this planet?
or a currency on their world or
yeah.
Did I close her up in the...
I think you may have.
Is the cat locked in the bathroom? Hey, cat. Come on, get.
Are you just being stupid? Where are you?
Where are you?
Stop singing Werewolves of London and shut up. Podcasting. Stand by, everyone.
I literally just walk in their house going, what the hell?
What the hell?
Alexa, make the cat shut up.
Don't listen. Don't listen to that asshole.
Hey.
They're both out. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Is it like full moon features?
Oh.
Huh?
But yeah, they talk about their fatness so much that it almost feels like you wonder if it's like some kind of reference to something or what. But I mean, it just
It's a half-baked thing.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like flavor for, this world, but it never comes into play whatsoever.
or it's like Albert Pune just doesn't know how to tell a joke.
That could be also correct.
Huh?
Yeah.
But for some reason, like, they're all in this laundromat, but they're all just standing in the back room, like, before the guy even gets in there.
Well, and we also should note that this world has like 2 light bulbs, and they're about 4 lumens each.
To be fair, so does Earth when they get there. But
Yes.
But yes, this world is incredibly dark. It is just grimy
This is like
and
hardware dark.
Yes. So he comes in and he menaces all the fat people and is just like, you people are going to get it, and I'm going to give it to you because I'm Carrot Top.
X going to get it.
And then, suddenly there's a million police officers there. And it's the standard, like, crazy man in there. We need, hostage guy to come and all of a sudden...
Well, yeah, he's got all these demands, and the one guy is talking to the mayor, and the mayor's like, give it to him.
yeah.
Elections next week. I don't need a bloodbath of fat people on
Yeah.
my hands.
I don't need all the fat people sprayed all over the news.
Well, like,
Yeah.
he's basically like the guy that's taking them hostage is calling them fat people. The cops that are relaying the situation are calling them fat people. And then when Frank Dollman shows up,
now,
I mean,
you think we're giving him a cool name, but hang on.
Yeah.
okay, sorry,
Okay.
yes,
Frank Dollman is not as cool as the character's actual name, which is Brick Bardo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because
We've almost got the exact same name. We're just
It's pretty close.
swapping some letters
Pretty
around
close.
and we're good.
Syllables are just a little out of...
but yeah, he shows up and it's your typical loose cannon cop shows up and
Yeah, the
everyone's
mayor's like, don't let him near there.
yeah, it's gonna be a
But-
bloodbath. And
But yeah, the negotiator guy's like, glad you're here,
yeah.
Brick.
What are you gonna do? And he's like, I'm thinking like a load of whites, a little warm water for the color safe bleach.
He's like,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he says,
I don't know. He just says laundry bullshit. And
Yeah.
he walks in with a bag and
Yep.
basically walks right into the thing.
well, the negotiator's like, Bardo's got this.
oh yeah. He snaps he snaps the antenna off his walkie-talkie. Like,
Yeah.
I'm having trouble reaching you, Chief.
It's a cool, like, video phone. So,
But yeah, he walks in and basically dumps his just walks right up to him.
Starts
like, all right,
doing his laundry.
The hostage taker, the bad guy, is basically like surrounded himself by these larger ladies.
He's roped
and
them.
roped them all around him,
Yeah.
essentially.
he's just in the middle.
In the middle, yeah. And so, whatever we call him, Brick walks in and dumps his load of laundry into a
a futuristic washing
machine.
that
And
makes
while
space
the
shuttle
guy's
noises.
just yelling at him, was like, "The fuck you doing?" And he's just totally ignoring
my
him.
laundry.
Slowly putting the change in, and I puts like 4 caps fulls of dry laundry
just
soap in there.
All
It's
the
like,
laundry soap. It wasn't as efficient back then.
Oh,
we didn't have
okay.
the high efficiency.
Right. Let's just put all the powder in there.
Sure.
But eventually he walks over to the corral of hostages, and is just like, I'm just gonna shoot you, and then
Yeah,
he's like,
he pulls out the gun, and the kid goes, he's like, wow, that's the whatever it is,
Yeah.
the most powerful handgun in the universe. He's like, yeah, you're damn right, kid.
Yeah.
fat kid.
Yeah,
he
fat
calls
kid.
him.
Yeah. That's what I was
Fat boy.
getting to. Yeah.
Fat kid.
That's what I was.
Fat boy.
That's what I was getting to. He's like he even walks in the situation and is just immediately in on the fat joke thing or whatever.
Yes,
and it's
please,
just like
fat
I'm gonna
boy.
shoot through this fat woman, and that's gonna shoot through you, and it's gonna shoot through that fat woman behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
and
there's
probably
going to
through
be
the wall.
fat guts
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, which causes the fat ladies to faint and
To have heart attacks.
they have heart attacks.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is mentioned by the mayor later
Okay,
that
all right.
they had heart attacks.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So
but they essentially have heart attacks, fall over on the guy, knock him out.
yes,
And Frank
just-
Dollman just walks out.
he just turns around and
I'm
walks
sorry,
out.
Frank Dollman's better than Brake.
Fine, that's
You're
fine.
welcome. You're welcome.
But yeah, he walks out and the mayor's there and he's just like, "You're suspended." He's like, "I'm already suspended." He's like, "Well, then you're fired or something. Fire this guy." And the guy's like, "Nah."
Yeah, but he just goes home. He's like, whatever. I'm just
Yeah.
working because I want to.
And he gets home, and the news report basically says that it was a bloodbath and that it was his fault.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure
27
that's
people died.
No, it's like 27.4
yeah,
people
because
died.
like 1.4 of them were children. But I think that's the mayor setting him up. I think that's the
Oh,
mayor
yeah.
like, this is how we get rid of Brick Bardo.
Well, they get rid of him anyway because, like, basically he's watching this weird ass newscast. It's all weird for no reason.
Weird warped Max
Yeah.
Headroom bullshit.
And
He just has a
somebody,
shitty TV.
somebody basically just opens
Shitty
up,
space TV.
opens up his side window and just starts shooting. I guess he's shooting tranquilizers at him.
He's shooting either blanks or not at him, but just to get his
Yeah.
attention. But he unloads like 20 shots into his apartment.
They don't explain it, but like this guy's like shooting this gun at him, and he's obviously getting hit, and then he just like touches his watch and he goes, "Brrr," and it like knocks him out.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it was like some kind of remote activated tranquilizer thing.
Yeah.
They didn't bother to
He
explain.
says something like,
Yeah, somebody
guy
old,
wants
old
to
friends
see
wants
you.
to see
Yeah.
you, and he wakes up in the desert and
Well, in the ruins of some
Sure,
city. You know, it's
Yeah.
like the beach from Trancers.
And the guy who had captured him is like, yeah, now you're here, and this is going to suck for you. And he's got another buddy who's there staring him down, aiming a gun at him. And then the other bad guy, who is basically a disembodied head.
yeah.
on a little
on
floaty jet
floating
thing.
platform. And I will say they do a good makeup job on this guy.
Not bad.
Yeah, I mean,
Because, he just looks
unfortunately,
like
doesn't-
shit.
the head doesn't move.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
of course.
it's like
No.
It's a good looking head, though.
it is a good looking.
It's a good
little-
representation of that dude.
Little thing moves pretty well.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
when they do the close-ups, I'm just talking about, they've got,
Right.
he looks good
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you're in close-ups.
the whole
on this
thing
guy.
looks good. Like,
Yeah, aside from the head just not emoting in any way, shape, or form,
Right.
the device itself it's like two giant fan engines on the back of
Yeah.
it that are propel. It's
Yeah.
it's all right.
Yeah.
Like this is one of those movies that has big ideas, but
has $9 to do it with.
right, but
And they stretch that $9 pretty well.
they try. They're like, all right, all we got is $9, but we got to fucking do this. So they don't
Yeah.
shy away from stuff.
But so he has a conversation with Tim Thomerson, and he's just like, "All right, Frank Dollman, this is it." And he's like, "Oh yeah, you were looking better last time I saw you." And he's like, "Yeah, well, you blew off my legs and my arms, and you'd be amazed what modern technology can do."
He was like, "Yeah, you're robbing the space bank, and I blew off your left
Yeah,
leg,
Your
and then
space balls.
you were doing the space extortion, and then I blew off your other 3 legs." And
But yeah, he basically says, health. It's like modern medicine helped me, but it couldn't help your family, could it, Frank Dollman?
yeah,
And
Frank
Yeah.
Dollman's just like, "Whoa."
Yeah, but they
And then-
they'd taken his gun away from him, and he's like, "All right, we're going to take you apart piece by piece. Start with his hand." And so the guy aims the gun. He's like, "How does it feel to be on this end of the gun?" And he's like, "I don't know. You tell me." And holds up his hand and basically has like
Magnet.
some kind of magnet thing that tracks his gun over to him, and basically unloads on the dude that was just pointing the gun at him. And heretofore, we knew that it was supposedly the most powerful handgun in the universe, but we hadn't really seen it in
we
action.
didn't realize he wasn't lying when he said if he had shot those fat people, guts would be everywhere.
Yeah,
No,
because
he jibs this dude.
this guy scanners out,
Yeah.
but his entire body.
yeah,
Right. It's the Groger blaster, which
Yeah.
is I've seen this gun other places before and looked it up before, but I don't know that I've, paid a whole lot of attention to other movies this has been in. But it looks fucking badass.
yeah,
Yeah.
They
Well, the effect that they do on these guys is like it's almost like your typical shotgun blast yank them back, but by yanking them back, what it does is turn them inside out.
they That
Yeah.
too.
They
Well, I mean,
explode into
they-
chunks.
It's almost more like if you did that, but it was just attached to the head, and like the shoulders and the head went back, and the rest of the
Yeah.
body was just not there anymore.
yeah.
They're just fucking human pinatas.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just explode.
Yeah, and this was like the first moment we kind of sat up and was like, ooh,
Oh, maybe there's something here.
this movie's got something.
Yeah. So he blasts these two dudes, and then like has a chat off with the floating head.
Well, the head just takes
Yeah,
off in
yeah.
the ship.
Yeah. And he goes over to talk to the remains of one dude who's like trying to use his bits to grab his gun, and Frank Dollman's just like, nah, you're not gonna do that. And he's like, well, what are you gonna do? Leave me here? And he's like, yeah, pretty much. And just hops in his ship and flies away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have like the briefest of space chases.
Yeah. And it's we need to mention the head, whose name is Sprug, had mentioned that he had some sort of
neutron bomb, I don't know.
technobabble bomb thing that was going to blow
Some
up
sort of-
half.
It was like an interstellar pulse bomb or something like that.
So it's even
Or
stupider than
interdimensional
that.
pulse bomb. That's what it is.
But he was going to blow up the city with it, and that's when Dollman told him that you'll fuck it up. You always fuck it up. But yeah, so he's flying away in a spaceship that has a giant bomb in it, and gives
Yeah.
chase.
And they hit some kind of like warp in space.
Yeah,
is all
The
we
energy
know.
bands.
yeah, because Sprug says something to him like, you'll never survive the thing, and he's like, neither will you, and he's like, I don't care, I'm just a head.
He's like, what makes you think I do?
Yeah, so they both fly into this thing and, stroke out for 15 seconds or so. And then it's just a bunch of rubble somewhere. Mm-hmm. And you see a little toy spaceship sitting on the rubble.
You hear the voice of the cockpit thing
Yes.
that's talking to him, and it says, you have landed on planet that its atmosphere is similar to yours.
Suitable for human.
Suitable
yes.
for human life.
And he
Yeah.
says, but...
Yeah, it's like trailing off. Like the scene's almost ending, and he's fading off.
Yeah, they say life forms here are larger, roughly
Yeah.
6 to 1
6 to
ratio.
1.
And then
then
he just fades out.
He just
for
kind of
a
like,
bit.
and then we get to see that we're in the shitty Bronx.
Yeah, for a
yeah,
while.
we do.
This movie loves to let you know that you're in shitty New York.
It
Spends
establishes
35 minutes telling
the
Yeah.
fuck out of the Bronx.
It is a hell of a 91 montage.
Yeah.
They told
Of
the second
shitty
unit
Bronx.
guy, go get me 20 minutes of the Bronx. And so they follow around
Yeah, well,
what could be actual crimes happening.
Yeah, well, so here's the weird thing. Like, so they're obviously just stealing footage from all kinds of daily life in New York, and
Yeah,
then
because
all
there's
of
a
a sudden,
cop who gives them a dirty look
Yeah. Right.
as they
Like, what are they doing?
as they get footage of him.
yeah, and then like all of a sudden we're kind of watching this one gang get out of a car, and like nothing's changed. It's not like suddenly these are actors. We basically watch these guys like just kind of saddle up to a liquor store or convenience store or whatever, and start to rob the place and just shoot the guy like 4 times and run away.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, these must be the toughs from the movie because the camera's sticking with them and we're following them back. And they drive out to, I don't know,
Rubble City.
Rubble City, yeah, and are promptly basically like the car pulls up in front of them and it's Jackie Earl Haley and his cohort, and he basically just gets out of the car like, what are you doing here? Bah, 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 and just lights this car up and kills the guys that we just spent like 3 minutes following around. Like, oh, obviously these are not our bad guys in the movie because there's a guy that we recognize, so it must be him.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
So we have a guy.
and while they were shooting him up, I think Tim Thomerson was kind of like sort of waking up.
No, not really. Not
No?
yet.
Oh.
He's kind of out of this movie while they're establishing the Bronx and
right,
introducing
yeah.
the female lead who is just walking along.
Oh yeah, she spots a drug dealer and is just like, I told you not to sell that shit in my neighborhood.
She goes
and,
ape shit.
oh yeah,
on
she
this
does.
guy.
She like picks up a rock and is like, I will brain you with this motherfucker.
Yeah. And the guy's like, just let me. Okay, lady, I would tell my boss about you. Yeah. So that goes on for a while, and then we watch her go to like Citizens Watch.
Yeah, they were going to
neighborhood watch thing.
It's like at the school, and
Yeah.
they were supposed to be organizing a neighborhood
God, it's
watch.
such a waste of time. It's such a
It is
bullshit scene.
because like there's a cop there who's just basically speaking in sound bites, and
Yeah.
she calls him out on it and is like, "Great, you got the sound bite. What are we actually going to do about this crime and all this?" And he's like, "Keep working, and we'll make the street safe again."
Yeah.
We're gonna get rid of the crime
Yeah.
like we're supposed
And,
to.
and then it just ends. It's like, fuck it, we're done with this shit. And then it barely really ever comes up again. It was a big waste of time.
Yeah. But then she's going home, and Jackie Earl Haley has sent goons.
No, he hasn't. he makes a point of yelling at them later for going after her.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
The goons
The
themselves.
goons have decided to take it upon themselves to get rid of her.
Right, because the one who got harassed, street harassed by her, has gone back to his buddies and like, she harassed me, and they're like, well, let's go get her.
Yeah,
So
they catch her walking through Rebel City, apparently, because they basically grab her and are like, hey, you can't tell us not to do shitty things.
Well, no, they snatch her on the way home because they
is that
throw
what
her
it
in the
is?
van and drive to Rebel City.
Oh, okay.
To where they're going to set her on fire.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it's...
Well, they're just
that's the
pouring water
implication.
on her, but so like the one guy who got harassed is just like, I'll take care of this, and goes to get bucket of fluid, whatever it is, and then he's just pouring it on everybody, himself, his other friends, just everyone's just like, we're gonna burn her, and he's just pouring this whatever it is all over.
I thought
them.
it was just water. He was trying to get her hydrated.
Why did they have
She'd been
a
walking all day.
giant container of water in the back of the
Have you never
Because-
had a gasoline fight, a la Zoolander?
No, you would know if I had, because I wouldn't be sitting here. A la Zoolander.
You might be a little crispier, Chuck.
Yes. But yeah, so they're about to set her on fire, and during this time is when Dollman has woken up and is kind of slinking out of his tiny ship to do something about it, and just starts firing his awesome gun at them.
Which is... the impact of it is severely reduced based on the size difference, I guess.
But it kills the first guy.
It does,
Like
like-
that murders that first guy. And they're like, whoa, what?
Yeah, but we basically learn it's not necessarily going to just atomize him like it did the guy
No.
on his planet, but
gonna-
it creates some sort of like festering wound that won't heal
Yeah.
or something, because he outright kills one dude. One guy gets it like sort of in the stomach and goes crying back to the club, bleeding on the pool table. To
Yeah.
which Jackie Earl Haley comes back and is like, oh,
fuck
God
is
damn it,
this?
what the fuck? And he like goes over like he's concerned for the guy. He's like, you fucking ruined my pool table, man.
Who did this?
He basically like, he gets angry at the guy and rolls him off the table and shoots him.
Yes.
Finishes him off. And he's like, whoever the fuck did this, go find him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
Is it maybe what's her face knows something about it?
Right.
And he's like, just leave me alone. I saved you. That's enough. And
Yeah, Dollman's like, just, all right, lady,
Yeah.
we're even. Get away from me.
and she's
like,
just
you're so tiny.
Well, she's just gawking like, huh?
Yeah, because he's
What?
gotten back into the cockpit of his ship and is just sitting there trying to read the manual, and she's just giant face right into the window, like, "Hey there."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Ah."
Well, and he's like, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
I got to fix this, and then I'm out of here.
Yeah, it won't fly. And as soon as I can fix it, I'm going to.
And she's like,
"No, you're coming
They're,
with me."
they're going to come back.
She's like, it's not safe here. It just picks the whole spaceship up.
and starts jogging home, to which they keep cutting to him in the cockpit, just like jostling around, just
Yeah.
like, and they even have dubbed in his voice at a couple of instances where he's just like, hey.
Yeah.
So
But she basically takes it home, and her son is the little kid from Three Amigos, and and is like,
and still that age in Stranger Things,
yeah,
as Mackie said.
it's bizarre. But he comes in, and it's like, I understand kids can be a little unruly, but this kid is like, she's walking through the door like, Alberto, I think is his name, like, get out of the way or whatever, and he's just like, oh, you got me a spaceship, mine, and just starts yanking on it. She's like, stop, this is not for you.
Well, the camera.
He's like a dog.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like latched onto it, and she's yelling at him like a dog. She's like, no, let go,
Yeah,
no.
you don't understand. This is not a toy.
Yeah, but they basically put like a cockpit enclosure around the camera, so that's the point of view that you're seeing, and you just see giant-headed kid just grabbing this thing. It's just like, oh boy, it's a thing, and shake it, just throwing it around, and she's like, stop, just fucking just sit over there for a second, just no, sit, and then they plop it down on the table, and it's like, oh, there's a little
Well,
man in
he
here.
was talking previous to that. The kid was completely ignoring it. He was
yeah.
like, toy! like a
Yeah.
dog seeing
Yeah.
a steak or a bone
Further
or something.
proof that
Just-
children are terrible.
right.
But yeah, he sets it down, and then immediately kid's like, oh, look, tiny guy, tiny
Yeah.
spaceship, what's going on?
Let's
You gotta-
gawk at him for
He's
a
like,
while.
obviously he's an alien. She's like, no.
Yeah.
He's like, well, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I'm an alien. She's like, all right. And and she's just like, all right, fine, I'm going to bed, and
Yeah.
leaves the kid alone with him.
Which the kid is like, I'll go get Gerald. Gerald will know what to do.
Well, he says, I know who can fix this, because
Yeah.
guys, Tim Thomerson's just like, leave me alone. Like,
trying to read the manual.
trying to
He's
read the manual.
Look behind his shoulder to like the gaping wound in the ship, which is just a transistor that's fucked up.
and the kid's like, I know who to call, which means I'm going to go get the quote unquote smart kid in the building, but also everyone else.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he looks back up and there's just 800 children standing around.
Adults too. It's
Yeah.
Everyone in the apartment building is like gawking at the spaceship and the tiny guy.
Yeah.
And then finally the mom wakes up and is like, "The hell?
Get the hell out of my house."
house, all of you!" And has to yell at them for like 3 straight minutes. More padding of the movie.
Yeah.
And then eventually leaves the smart kid behind, even though she kicked everyone else out. And
Yeah.
he's just like, I don't know. Actually, maybe it's batteries, and I don't know. He's not smart at all. He's-
Yeah.
But Brick yells at him too, like, "Get this kid out of here! Get all of you, get away from me!" Meanwhile, Jackie Earle Haley has gone back. His lair is the rubble city, basically, just this
Right.
disaster zone, and he's kind of getting the information, like, why is that guy dead? Who did this? What's going on? And that's when they find, Detached Head's spaceship. And he's like, "Whoa, look, it's a tiny head." Sweet. And the head's just like, "Hey, listen, you want to take over the world? I got a bomb on here. Let's do this." And Jackie Earle Haley's like, "Yeah, all right, sure, that'd be cool."
Well, didn't he?
Well,
Got
he
shot at
basically-
some point because Jackie.
No,
that was part of the bargaining chip.
Yeah, he
wasn't
comes
it?
back later. Because he says, "Well, you got to take out Brick if you really want to control this neighborhood,
Yeah.
and I can help you with that." And that's when he's like, "Well, what's Brick?"
That's,
And
that's
he's
right.
like-
He
he's
teases.
like, "Me."
He goads him into going after him the first time. He's
Right,
just
yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, he shot your dudes, and if that word gets out, they'd be like, there's a renegade cop from another world taking over your streets.
Bad for business.
And he's like, "Yeah, let's go get him." And
Yeah.
it takes like 4 guys, and I think they all get shot. They all get shot in her apartment because
Yeah, they all bust in and they're like, "Oh man, check out the ship!" And Dollman knows that he's like, "Oh shit!" And as soon as they as one of them picks up his ship, he just opens fire.
Yeah, he
and
basically
fucking murders like
4
six of these guys
And
in
now,
their apartment.
Unlike the last time, well, maybe we didn't see because it was outside, but yeah, there's just blood everywhere in this apartment. Like when the shit's over, like he basically winged Jackie Earle Haley in the stomach, sort of, and like everyone else is dead, like bodies everywhere, blood on every surface, basically.
Yes.
And she's just like, Jesus Christ, like
Yeah,
I just
she's
wanted
like,
to come home and go to
"Yeah,
bed.
I'm not getting my deposit back
Yeah.
now."
Yeah.
and
And
then
there's blood
movie,
everywhere.
this fucking movie, like they bother to show a scene where an Earth cop has shown up and is basically like, "All right, have a good night, ma'am."
He's at the door, like, "Okay, well, thanks for your statement."
There's still
Yeah.
blood everywhere. I guess they hauled the bodies off, but they're like, "Good luck with the blood and stuff."
There was a mass murder in her apartment, and the cop's just like, "Here, sign this."
Yeah.
And it's never explained what the story is that was told to the police, because someone obviously murdered all these people who showed up in her apartment. It was either her or they'd all just came in and shot each other, which no. So what story did the cop hear where the cop was like, "Yeah, all right, that makes sense. See you later. Enjoy your cleanup process," which she is 99% done with by the time the cop goes out. She just has one spot left on the wall to which she just runs a sponge over and it's gone. Like all the blood is just gone. She's all good.
It's the power of OxyClean.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
but yes, when Jackie Earle Haley stumbles back to his hideout,
Yeah.
the bar or whatever, and that's when the tiny head guy, what is his name? Strug is
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, I see you got shot there. That sucks. That's never really going to heal, but I might have some space magic that can heal that right up if you promise to do everything I say."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, sure, just heal me." And he's like, "Oh, I also have this whatever pulse bomb thing that's yours if you help me too." And he's
Yeah.
like, "Great, yeah, just heal me."
Yeah, just do this.
And he heals his wounds immediately, and he's like, "Cool, you're healed now. So do everything I say."
Well, yeah.
You work for me now.
Jackie Earle Haley's just like, "That's some good shit."
Yeah, this is
How the
pretty
fuck
good.
you do that?
Yeah.
Pretty good. And he's
Pretty
like,
neat.
"Yeah, so cool. You're healed now. You work for me now." He's like, "Yeah, I work for you." And basically just walks over and goes, smush.
Yep.
And just squishes Sprung. He's dead.
Oh yeah. As soon as he knows how to use the bomb, he's just
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, you think you're my boss?"
Yeah. Squish.
squish.
And there's some good pulpy nastiness on the table left after he smashes it.
Sizzling for some reason.
Yeah. But so that guy's dead, and now he has the tiny little pulse bomb, interdimensional pulse bomb.
Yep.
Yeah, because the guy's like, "All you gotta do is push that button."
And he says it will basically transport everything within 3 parsecs to another dimension,
Yeah.
never to be heard from again.
Right.
Just bear that in mind.
Now, how big is a parsec?
Over a light year, it's like 1.6 light years.
All right.
Or something like that. No, it's
So
like,
that's-
it's like, I'm sorry, it's like 3.6 light years. It's more than enough to cover
so
our
it's
entire
like a
solar
galaxy.
system.
Okay.
Yeah, it's plenty.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, Keep that in mind.
Yeah, just throwing that out there.
Very important.
Yeah. All right. So, meanwhile, Frank Dollman has bonded with her and having a conversation, like, while they're kind of, neither of them can sleep. And he says, basically how, oh, well, my family was killed. And I had a wife and I had a son who's about your son's age. And that's why it's got to stop. I got to stop these guys.
Yeah. And, yeah, it's character building maybe, but who cares? Because it doesn't matter.
Yeah. We already kind of knew because the other guy had talked about it.
Yeah. It's just totally not important because then she gets up the next day and she's like, okay, kid, get the fuck out. Go to school. And then she's like, I got to go to work. Good luck, Brick, fixing your ship.
Yeah,
we'll
and
be
he's
back
like,
around 7.
Are you sure you want to go to work? They're going to be looking for you. And she's like, well,
whatever.
I got to pay the rent.
Yeah.
So,
Bye.
suck it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we're treated to a completely and wholly useless scene of her at work.
Yes.
Where she apparently does something with toxic waste and has a toxic boss, and then it's over. Like
She stirs it,
I mean, they're poking at toxic waste,
Yeah.
and like she and somebody else. Now, granted, she had just yelled at her son about inviting everyone over to see Tiny Dollman.
Yeah.
And then is like, hey, coworker, I got this 13-inch man at home. And she's like, I bet I'd like to see a 13-inch man, huh? Because we're talking about dicks right now. And then
dicks?
Yeah, and then they kind of like,
Was it dicks?
they kind of go giggle, 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 and the boss comes over and is like, what's this now?
Yes.
Are you having fun at work? There'll be none of that.
Are you having a laugh? Stop this. This is serious business.
And then
Stir
the
that
scene's
toxic
over
waste.
and it means fuck all.
Yeah, but then they're on a bus going home.
Yeah.
And then she's just loudly announcing to everyone on the bus, like, yeah, he's got a spaceship and everything.
A lady comes over. She's like,
I
she
heard
has
you
like,
talking about
and
the
she has
Dollman.
like terrible stereotypical like, I don't know how to do a Spanish accent,
Yeah.
but I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Person, she's like, I heard you had the Dollman. And it's like,
Maybe he can help us clean up the neighborhood.
yeah, and it's,
Okay, ma'am. And
yeah. And she's like, is it true? And she's like, yeah. She's like, yeah, it's true. He's got the fucking ship and everything.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like, but he's like, yeah, we'll be fine here because, like, well, he's just wasting those punks, so you don't have to worry about cleaning up the streets. He's just going to murder them all. And then
Yeah.
that lady's like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
And she's like, not like this, man. This is not how I wanted it to happen.
yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much the end of the scene where her friend like goes the other way, and she's like, cool, I'll come back later to see Dollman. Bye.
And they get off the bus, and
Jackie Earle Haley now is waiting on her,
Yeah.
essentially.
but he has hatched this plan, which is fucking stupid because, like, his goal is to get revenge on Dollman because
For shooting him.
Yes, and his wound has started to bleed a little bit. Like, it's not completely healed.
Right.
Yeah.
So he has his plan is to kidnap her, take her back to Rubble City, and wait for Dollman to show up. Now, he knows, everyone knows, because she has announced it to the whole borough that he is up in her apartment in his tiny spaceship.
Yeah.
That's where he is.
And the son has brought 45 people into their
Oh yeah, they're all gawking at him.
their
again.
one room apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all gawking at him when she's about to come home, and as just as she's opening the door, Jackie Earle Haley grabs her,
Right.
and is like, "We're going to Rubble World,
Yeah.
or whatever it is, Rubble Land,
Yeah.
Rubble World."
And, so Dollman hops out and defenestrates himself. Tiny
Yeah.
defenestration through the window.
Hold me closer.
Flies down in this really weird shot of close-up of Tim Thomerson kind
Yeah.
of like pretending he's flying, and then lands on the side of the car holding on to the trim, basically.
Yeah, the windowsill that will stop your fall.
Honestly, this is one of like, Albert Pune sucks in general, but I will give him credit in that he's done well in not like making it like not having a little fucking doll toy doing stuff.
Right,
in the
right, they
movie.
didn't just throw one out the
There's
window.
a lot of like forced perspective
Yes.
stuff. There's a lot of green screen stuff.
Yeah.
With matching shots.
They're
and that-
trying.
And also I can appreciate that sight lines.
Mm-hmm.
They use really good sight lines for when someone's talking to Tim Thomerson and
Yeah.
then when he's talking to someone else.
Yes.
Like they adjust the height accordingly and it immediately lets you know your perspective.
Yes,
So it's like one of those few things where it's like, hey, wait, this guy actually understood something.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
But this is one of the first shots where it's like, all right, we threw a fucking doll out a window.
Right. Yeah, and then later you see a little tiny doll hanging onto the car as the car pulls up in Rubble City and everyone gets out. You just see this thing stuck to the car.
Yep.
As it rolls up and
But
parks.
there are also, because it's Albert Pune, there are plenty of shots of just the car going and
Yes.
like his perspective looking at the ground as the car is going. where it's those shots are held just like that little bit long enough to be uncomfortable to like, all right, move on, guys. We get it.
Yeah, because then they get back, and it's just, God, they've got, I don't know, 25, 30 gunmen just hanging out in Rubble City, just, all right, he's coming. He's going to be here soon. And this goes on for fucking ever. Just people hanging out waiting for
Dollman.
Yeah. And that's basically the rest of the movie, is they're just waiting and waiting and waiting. Meanwhile, Dollman is kind of sneaking around the grounds.
Yeah, he's sneaking through a pipe, and a rat comes in. And they never do anything with that, do they?
No, he's just like, don't even think about it, bub, or whatever.
Yeah, and then the rat's like, fucks off the other direction. He's like, yeah. But yeah, he crawls through this pipe forever. And then sneaks up to one guy with a stick, like a metal pole, a tiny metal pole. And you're like, oh, he's going to do some like puppet master shit on this guy and just jab him in the eye or, fucking shove it up his ass or something. No, he just bonks him on the head with it.
Which is a bad plan because
it knocks him out for
good
12
God,
seconds.
They spend, I'm not joking, honestly, at least 5 minutes. It feels like 10 minutes of the movie of him skulking around, getting into position.
Yes.
Yeah.
Only to basically have, like, all the guys are basically like, this is bullshit. He's not going to show. It's been 3 hours. And, Jackie Earle Haley's in that.
Dying.
He's dying, and he's like, I don't give a fuck anymore. We're waiting here until I die or he shows up.
Right.
And so, like, it's all basically undone where he's like, I'm going to wait here. I'm not going anywhere. You guys fan out and find the Dollman. And
Find the Dollman.
and Tim Thomerson has like worked his way all the way up to this ridge where he has line of sight, and it's basically undone by the fact that they've all now loaded up in their shitty vans and are leaving, and they call the one guy that's been knocked out and go, "Hey, are you coming?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Huh? Oh, look, there's Dollman. Let me start shooting." And all of this, it's like blowing the stealth mission after like 13 minutes of perfect sneaking. It's like, oh fuck, that was just a shitty firefight.
Yep. And Dollman blows up all their cars. With his gun.
Eventually. Like he, for whatever reason, the guy that wakes up and foils everything, I guess it makes you as pissed off as you are playing a stealth game when you fuck up like that. Because for whatever reason, this magic space gun has no limit of bullets.
Never.
It has a giant magazine on the bottom.
Because
but
also when he starts shooting at someone, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
right,
8,
that's
9,
what I'm
10
saying. This
shots.
guy wakes up and he's just like, this motherfucker. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So, okay, guy. I think you got him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that guy gets it real bad. And then it's just like, I thought this was going to be hard. And he starts shooting at the vans.
And he just goes, urban fucking renewal.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they said something like, what the fuck is this? And there's constant points in this movie where somebody says something and somebody has like a one-liner back, and there's no way they should be able to hear each other.
Yeah.
Like they were doing it between the spaceships, but like, do they even have comms open? Like,
Yeah. There's also no reason he should even know what that means, but whatever.
True. There's no reason he should be speaking English.
well, yes.
Well, he's human.
Or 12 inches.
The computer said he's human.
No, true. It's tiny.
He's a tiny human.
Hold me closer, tiny Dollman.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he blows up some vans and decent explosions. You know, I mean, we've had a dearth of explosions, or like we've had things that felt like they were going to be explosions for a few movies now, and this time it was like, all right, you actually bought some gasoline and loaded up in this van and blew it up.
Fuck this van coated in graffiti.
Right.
But so basically somehow that pretty much takes care of all the dudes. Like they were all very clearly like jumping out of the van before it blew up, but I guess they got caught in the explosion because they're all dead.
The shockwave took
they're all dead except for the guy from Die Hard that's going to show up in a minute. But he goes to fight Jackie Earle Haley, and he's basically dying now. Like it's like the ladies tried to run away, and that's not going particularly well. And then I think he like shoots at him a couple times and misses. And
well, Dollman sets up an elaborate mirror trick to make himself look bigger, and he's like, "Hey, buddy," and then Jackie Earle Haley shoots the mirror, and Frank Dollman's like, ha, that wasn't me.
Right.
And then shoots him a few times. And doesn't he blow his arm off?
Yes.
Yes. He blasts Jackie Earle Haley's
with
arm
the gun.
off.
Yeah. Like there goes his gun because it went with the arm.
Yep.
He was disarmed.
And all of a sudden, the other dude, charred, angry, two machine guns in each hand.
Yeah. Bam, 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 bam.
And gets blasted quite a few times by Tim Thomerson for that.
Yeah. And so Tim Thomerson is basically just going to finish murdering Jackie Earle Haley.
But, something knocks his gun away. Somehow he gets his gun knocked out of his hand.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not sure.
It slides over to Jackie Earle Haley.
I think it's when the guy showed up, he was just like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, Jackie Earle Haley picks it up. Like, all right.
And I love the idea of dying Jackie Earle Haley holding this tiny, tiny little gun in his fingertips. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to shoot you now, Dollman.
Right. But because previously established, Dollman has gun magnet in his hand, he just goes whoop and grabs, the gun flies back to him. And he's just like, nah, you sack of pus. And and is going to murder him. But Lady shows up and she's like fucking wet blankets his murder boner so hard. She's just like, no, you won, Dollman. You don't have to shoot him.
Yeah, killing him won't bring your dad back, Joe.
It's like, actually, if you wait 30 seconds, he's going to bleed out. Right. So it's you're really not saving him. Dollman's trying to put him out of his misery.
Because we didn't even mention, but he's got dead family. That's why he's, basically doing the rigs from Lethal Weapon. I don't care anymore.
Yeah. Well, and also Jackie Earle Haley is like pissed at her because he's like, I told them not to hurt you.
Yeah.
I protected you. And
that's a whole other thing. Like,
and it's like implied that he wanted to be with her at some point, and she shot him down.
The father of the son.
No, because the father died in a robbery.
Oh, is that what? Okay, I missed that part.
that was the bit of exposition they had before they went to bed that night.
Yeah. But yeah. So there's like a whole thing where, he's kind of, I guess, gets some sympathy from her.
Yeah.
But then, not too much.
No,
he's Jackie Earle Haley.
Right.
He's like. He's got to play a shithead.
Yeah, and he's like, guess what? I've got a magno-nuclear bomb thing.
Yeah.
And here it is. I'm going to fucking do this.
Well, yeah, he opens up and he shows it, and that's when Dollman's like, that's a neutrino bomb, or whatever the fuck it's called.
We got to get out of here.
Yeah. He's like,
because it's going to blow up 3 planets. So let's run. So
you've got 10 seconds, and they start running, and he's like, run! And it's like, does that fucking matter?
Yeah.
But,
so they run for a little bit, and there's a laser light show of some kind, and then it just cuts back to the rubble, and it's like, wait, was that it? What happened?
Wait, this may not be a flaw. This may be a setup disguised as a goof. Because
that section of IMDb.
Right.
Okay.
It transports anything within 3 parsecs, which is 9.6 light years, as I have discovered.
Yeah.
To a different dimension.
Right.
They might be in a different dimension. It didn't have to blow everybody up.
Oh, maybe he transported demonic toys dimension.
Yeah. See.
So, okay, sure. Yeah.
Follow the money.
Anyway, they're still in the pile of rubble.
Right.
And they basically look at each other like, you okay? You all right? Yeah. Thumbs up. And then she says, or no, he just basically says, so please tell me size doesn't count. And it's basically like, hi, ha, ha, freeze frame, high five, and then, none of that actually happens, but it's just, that's the end of it. And then we have an extended look back at the cast of Dollman.
Yeah, everybody in the movie gets a montage, including, like, the dude who got killed immediately pouring gas on someone.
Yeah, like 20 cast members get their own little montage of here's the best moments of this guy, and man, just... What?
You got puned.
Yeah.
So yeah, soundtrack.
Okay.
There was one.
This is a hell of a 91 soundtrack.
Yeah, there's some hip hop to let you know you're in the Bronx.
Oh, that's right. I forgot the sampler part with
it. Wiki. All of that. Ugh.
Yeah, it's bad. It dates the movie to exactly when you think it is.
It does.
That's not, I mean, that in and of itself is not necessarily a bad thing. Like,
it's not the worst thing about the movie, that's for sure.
No.
The soundtrack is capable, especially a Full Moon thing, and it's not Richard Band doing the music, so they had at least one other guy who could slap down a couple of tracks and make it sound okay.
Yeah.
But the rest of this thing...
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's a big old pile of shit.
Yeah. Yeah,
I thought you were about to go first. That never happens. Just like, I've got to rate this.
Can you?
I could probably.
Do it.
It's 2 bags. I didn't like this at all. There are a few things that it does really well. Like you mentioned, the sight lines. That was surprisingly impressive. Like, you don't see movies of this caliber nail that very often, and like people keeping their eyes or keeping their head looking up or down.
Someone on set was
like
very good.
Somebody was trying real hard for that.
You need to be looking up the entire time.
Yeah, whoever the armorer was got some like future space looking badass guns. One of them was the Calico, which is used in tons of movies and video games, and 100 years from now it will look like a futuristic gun. And there's a couple that I wasn't even I'm not familiar with that are really fucking space looking guns, which are great. I love that kind of stuff. And I've been watching a lot of stuff about model making and practical effects lately, and so seeing the ship model was kind of plain, Dollman's ship model was kind of plain, but it was really cool looking, and it was fucking big, and Hoverhead, I have no idea what his name was.
Sprug.
I don't give a shit.
Sprug.
Hoverhead's ship was pretty cool, even though the puppetry on those was absolute garbage.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the green screening or chroma keying was absolute garbage on those. A bunch of that stuff was really bad, but the models were really good.
Yeah.
And some of those little effects, the gunshot wounds and not many of what looked like quote-unquote digital effects or painted effects were all that good, but the practical stuff was really good. It's just that everything else was dog shit.
Yeah.
I will admit that I fell asleep somewhere for probably 5 or 10 minutes in the middle of this movie.
So like a quarter of the movie.
Right. And I just don't care. I've heard that I did not miss anything.
No.
2 bags. Go to hell. Dollman.
Yeah.
I'll go. So I agree with those points. I agree with the model making stuff. Like we were saying earlier, this movie has grand ideas, and damn it if they don't go for those ideas. They're like,
Sure.
we've got this gimmick, we've got this premise, let's fucking go for it. Oh, well, we've only got $12. Well, let's still go for it, whereas usually people would give up on that. I remember saying about 10 minutes into this, this would probably make a good 45-minute movie. By the time it ended, I don't know if I still believe that, because even at 45 minutes, I think it would probably be about 20 minutes too long. There's so much wasted time in this, and Trancers was the same way. It was super short, but it also seemed like it just had scenes where no one's talking and people are just looking at each other, and it's like, come on, you've only got 70 minutes. Let's go. Get to the... Someone say something. And this movie has a lot of that, especially in the first 15 minutes. Like that whole thing where he's talking to the head out in the desert or whatever, and they're just all staring at each other is excruciating. And that's only 7 to 10 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
And we're like, come on, movie.
Yeah, I never do that. There was a point I was like, okay.
Yeah. It's like, yes, someone speak. Get
Yes,
to the...
and?
Yes, go on. Almost over, movie.
Skip to the end.
It wastes a lot of time for a movie that has
No time.
no running time.
Yeah. And then you find out this movie really doesn't have anything to do at all. And so
it just
I'm sitting the whole...
ambles about.
Yeah, I'm sitting there the whole time, and I'm like, Trancers at least had the whole, Helen Hunt fish out of water interaction kind of thing, and it had the crazy Christmas stuff and all that.
Yeah.
And there was a good time to be had with Trancers. This is just... They got nothing. They couldn't get anything with the human characters, and then they have this foil for Dollman, which they squish halfway through the movie, and it's just like, well, that's dumb. And Jackie Earle Haley is not good in this. He kind of would get better when he had his career resurgence later, but at this time it was just like, oh man, this is... You're just Guy. Like, there's nothing special about what you're doing here. He has a couple of moments where he's just kind of being smarmy, but once he's shot from that point on, he's insufferable. Like, I couldn't fucking stand him. So I'm gonna agree with BJ. I'm gonna give it 2 bags. I was sitting at 1 the entire time, thinking just disappointed but not angry. But then when the end of the movie just doesn't pay off at all, literally doesn't pay off, you're just like, wait, what happened?
Yeah.
And it just fucking ends. You're like, oh, fuck you, movie. How dare you? And then I think I said, I've come around on Albert Pune. I have been saying, no, he's going to have a good one here, guys. Stick with him. I fuck that. I don't think we're ever going to find a good one. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Would you say that Albert Pune can get fucked?
No, because I'm sure he's a nice man.
Okay.
So
You're too nice, Chuck.
yeah.
Do we just want to go around the table?
No rules.
We're having a good time.
Clockwise here.
2017. Do whatever.
It's funny because the This is one of those movies I like. This is the first one in a long time. I'm like, I want to give it a 0. Like, I want to be right in the middle because part of me wants to say to somebody else, yeah, give this a shot. It's not going to be great, but there's enough dumb little ideas and premises that I would say, like, you might want to see it, but I wouldn't want to watch it again. Like, it's that kind of thing where it's like, I might almost recommend it to somebody looking at for a bad movie, especially like seeing the dudes blow up at the beginning or something like that. But I gotta go with one bag just because, like, I don't want to watch it again. I would recommend it with the, like, just the lightest amount of, like, yeah, there's a couple of funny things in it, but you could probably skip it and watch Transfers 1 through 17 instead. It's weird that you picked up, like, you said something just for a counterpoint. I actually thought, like, Jackie Earle Haley, like, in the final moments when, like, he was like, I know I'm dying, I thought that was actually pretty good acting. Like, just
acting.
the body language, just like that.
Sure.
Like that,
I believed he was shot.
Right, exactly.
He was just insufferable. You know, it's like The Beach, where you're just like, okay, get the screaming guy away from me. He's driving me insane.
And what now?
Or, the Leonardo DiCaprio movie where the guy on the island
Oh, right, okay. Yeah,
and they're just like, oh my God, get this guy out of here. He's fucking screaming his head off.
I missed the first part. I was like, the
beach.
Okay, yeah.
So,
all right.
But no, but I agree with you there. I think you can tell Jackie Earle Haley isn't just phoning this in.
Oh, no.
And that he's actually putting effort into what he's doing.
He's a weird choice given the gang. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not saying... It's a little weird because most of the entire gang is Latino, and then there's him, like, bossing them around.
Yes.
And he's just... It's not like, hey, I grew up with you and I speak like you. It's like, I'm fucking New York. And they're all like, hey, what do you want to do today?
Yeah.
It's like, this is a weird dynamic. Now it's just like, it feels uncomfortable because he's just bossing them around. It's like, why are you their leader and why do they listen to you?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just...
There's a lot of backstory that's not explained.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot going on and it's kind of strange. But.
Yeah. I have to complete the bags here, and I'm only going 1 because, man, those dudes blowing up was pretty awesome.
It was. I totally agree with you.
And there's a couple other things I like, and I like Tim Thomerson in this. He's like this grizzled, angry, just pissed off asshole the entire time. You know, except he's a little tiny doll size guy,
Yeah.
a man, if you will. But
Would you say he's
a doll man? Yes. Which is weird because you'd think his name was Frank Dollman, but it's Brick Bardo.
Yeah.
Brick Bardo, micro
it's so weird. It's like you're a doll man, and they named you Brick Bardo. Who knows? But
I do like that the community immediately starts calling him Doll Man. They all just start calling him Doll
just
Man.
Jackie Earle Haley's like, we got to go over there and take out the Dollman. They're like, who are we gonna hit? He's like, we gotta kill that fucking Dollman. Yeah, but Albert Pune, I think I've realized, it's crystallized my problem with him, is he spends too much time on all the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
Like, when you have good stuff and you can go with that, and you don't, and you'd rather just, like, use pickup shots that, like, you just said, okay, just leave the car on the side of the camera and just film it, we're going to need, like, 3 minutes worth to fill in stuff. And then you just keep all 3 minutes of footage because, like, I don't know, footage is a precious commodity or something. It feels like he just wastes all this time on stuff when there are cool ideas and things in there, and he just doesn't bother with them.
Yep.
But I just love the whole fucking premise of this. That it's like, this guy's a hard-boiled detective, but he's only 13 inches tall. And now he's on Earth. It's like, who the fuck?
Yeah.
Big attitude in a tiny package. I think he could have been more, like, I just didn't feel like he was...
He's not as good in this as he was in Transfers.
Oh, yeah. He's way better in Transfers.
In space,
but he's
he was
still fun.
Yeah, in space it felt like he was on Arcturus. Felt like he was just more...
Well, I think
he was
brassy
more
and
just
shitty.
He had more chance to be complete badass. In this one, he's just annoyed because children won't leave him alone. And
Yes.
He's like, go away, Baton. I'm in my ship.
Right.
This is my ship time. You go away.
But I think, too, like, he's more effective on his planet because he's actually interacting with human beings. Like, once he's on Earth, he's not in scenes with anybody.
Yeah.
He's either, by himself being filmed or in some forced perspective shot. Or,
Yeah, that's a good point.
So he's not
perspective.
interacting with anyone.
Forced
Yeah,
perspective shots are...
Yeah, he's probably interacting with Albert Pune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which good luck
And
there.
nobody wants to do that.
I did enjoy the one little exchange between the kid and him, where like the kid's just like, "Hey, what's going on? What's about this?" And he's like, "Go away, kid." And he's like, "Is everyone on your planet assholes?" And he's like, "Sometimes." Like it's just it's a fun little comeback.
Some of them are.
Sometimes when people are annoying us.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
He picks up on that immediately. It's like this is the second question. This alien is like, "Is everyone on your planet an asshole?" Sometimes.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
Dollman. Let's take a break. We have a big second half.
Yeah, we do.
Jocks.
I need a few minutes to get my list in order. Shit.
Get your affairs in order.
Yeah, get your affairs in order because we're about to fuck shit up.
Let's see, should I piss everyone off or some people off?
Wow.
Why don't you just be honest?
Yeah.
How about nobody?
How hot a take are you about to drop on us?
Fire, motherfucker, fire.
Straight napalm.
We can't handle the takes.
So remind me, do we go around like we all give her 5? I'll give her 4.
I think we should probably just list our honorable mentions first.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
say our piece,
talk the
and then
5. Yes.
Okay.
I've said my piece and counted to 10.
Countdown from 5
4,
to 1.
3. Go.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Got my list. Where's my list? Show me my list.
No. Bitch, that is not the thing I meant to open.
Oh, no.
Not drive, go to docks.
Well, trust me, the original movie. We would have
What was the name of it?
Sweet Justice.
Yeah.
Sweet justice.
So you said there's something awesome. I didn't watch the trailer, but you said there's something awesome in the trailer that
The
doesn't
trailer
happen
is
until over
nothing
an hour
but
into it.
awesome. The trailer is just women fucking kicking ass. And you're like, hell yeah. And then I'm checking that print. I'm just like, okay, let's just make sure this is watchable. And I'm scanning through it. And I'm like, wait, hold on. And I'm just going and I'm going and I'm going. And I'm like an hour into this. And I'm like, none of that has happened. Nothing is happening in this. Everyone is going to fucking kill me if we watch that.
Do you think it's a Wheels of Terror situation where it sucks, and then is awesome for the last for the last act?
Yes, but I think there's nothing in the first hour to remotely be compelling whatsoever. It seemed like a Cinemax / Lifetime movie. Like there were 2 prolonged sex scenes in the first 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Just fucking.
Just straight fucking.
Straight fucking. One of them just Mark Singer boning some lady against a tree, and you're just like,
All right.
Oh, man.
why
Beastmaster.
is this happening?
Lisa Tree.
Yeah.
Man,
Wow. Bring it back.
nice callback.
That's one for the YouTube folks right there.
Yeah.
Well, we're not
Good old
properly back on the thing yet.
Yeah, we're not.
What?
I don't know. I'm typing here.
Yeah, we're in some fantasy.
I realized I never actually wrote down my honorable mentions. So I'm
Oh,
doing that
fuck.
now.
You got to write them fuckers down.
I'll tell you what to do.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yep.
Whew.
Woo.
Whew. Knobs just wrote me,
Yeah.
and all it says in his email is, "How is Yoga Hosers this bad?"
That's a good
It's
question.
like, hey man, I didn't watch it. You tell me, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And
God, it's bad.
he's also one of those people that just picks a random message to reply to,
Oh, so
and it's it's the one he wrote me like a year and a half ago that says that he just forwarded me. Tay Zonde is now following you on Twitter.
He couldn't be bothered to write a new email or text.
That's why he is one of my favorite people to get emails from, because they're so, I'll look at the the
regarding
subject of
Tay
this-
Zonde.
Yeah,
Man, how is Joe Hoser
that
so
is the
bad?
subject of this email. Is Tay Zonde is now following you on Twitter. I'm like, oh, he followed me again.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, me and 500,000 other people. Sweet. Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's just like, how is Yoga Hosers this bad? Yeah.
Well, it is. It will not. It will not
I've
be on
heard.
my list.
Yeah, so I mean, do you guys want it? Oh,
Sorry,
Hey,
chat's going off.
Yeah.
Hey,
Sorry.
I had 2 the night you guys left Orlando.
Yeah,
Thank
and then we
very
didn't
much.
see you for like 12 hours.
No, I'm talking about like the final night after you guys went home. And I had my-
Sure you did.
I
Sure
did.
you
Sure
had
you did.
to.
Ask the bartender.
Sure you didn't, Oz.
I went and had my Tree Island dose.
Our
Well, I had 1.5, and then I
was
was
it the
like,
bartender that was wearing the Ohio jersey that one night?
I don't know. It was a nice looking lady.
Okay. Oh, we didn't have a nice looking.
Okay,
lady
no, it was a
bartender
nice
then.
looking lady. I wasn't at the poolside. I was inside.
Yeah.
Watching the football.
Well, there's where you messed up. You should have been on the poolside, man.
Oh,
It's
no.
poolside.
Wanted to watch,
And
wanted to watch the football.
Well, whatever drink they had was better than that shit
was,
inside.
yeah.
I just love that the one I skipped is the one where you're like, yeah, we met all these people and did all this stuff, and I'm like, sweet.
Yeah.
I replaced the toilet this weekend.
Yeah, well, it was same.
Eat a bowl of fuck.
Yeah, the only thing we did was drain some balls.
We're talking about pinball.
That wasn't even like remotely a snap moment.
Yeah, but you sold it that way. You sold it that way, and that's
Sure.
what mattered.
That is what is important.
Whee!
Flip this.
But yes,
table
when
like
some of
any-
these people are in town, I'd like to meet them if possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Nope.
All right.
Nobody for
That's
Mackie.
fine.
You have to stay in your married life with toilets and
I'll allow you to meet them.
Fences.
Mackie.
toilets and fences.
If
That's
they
your
ever
prison.
announce a Jax thing, which there's no way that's happening in March now if they haven't
No,
announced
I don't
it yet.
think so.
But
Although
they could just
He said
it could just pop
empty
up.
out the barn.
he made it sound like he was gonna like.
Well,
I know they're switching the venue and all, but
Randy wanted to, and Steve was kind of like, I don't know.
God damn it, Steve.
Steve.
Yeah, I don't know.
I like that we're getting all this networking happening though.
Yeah.
And me, I don't even have to do any of it. I just show up and be like, "Hey man, we're gonna play some pinball." Guy's like, "All right, cool.
Yeah.
Come on in."
Cool dude, though.
Oh yeah, very cool.
I don't know. Have we told Tale of the Pen Barn on?
Well, it's kind of
No.
wrong crowd, isn't it?
wrong
We have shit to do.
No,
man.
but we didn't get
Yeah,
into
nah.
it the last no quarters.
Yeah, no, we didn't.
We don't know how exclusive the pin barn is.
Well, I mean, we can just tell people that we're fucking
We're
cool
in a
enough.
fucking club.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're fucking dope.
That we know people.
we're cool enough to.
And Chuck didn't get to go that one night, and
Yeah,
I kept
no.
trying to text, but that guy lives so far out in the middle of
Man.
nowhere. I had no signal because Chuck's like, "Send me a bunch of pictures," and
Yeah.
I'm like, "Sorry."
Yeah, because I sent you one text that was like, "How is it?" and it just never went anywhere. And I'm like, "Oh, either he's on his phone the entire night, or there's no signal."
No, there was no
Or
signal.
we were
but,
dead and it was an elaborate ruse.
But yeah,
I was also worried about that. I was like,
Yeah.
"Please respond."
But eventually, I wrote Chuck, and I'm like, "Whatever you're doing the next time we go out there, change your plans and go out there."
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We had more fun than we should have with little basketball.
Oh yeah, they had
shooty hoop
Papa
thing.
Shot.
Shooty hoops.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
played some shooty hoop sports ball.
They had the punchy thing.
Oh, the punchy
Oh,
thing.
the punchy
yeah.
thing is fun. Like
It's so dumb. Like I never want to do that in a I never want to do the punchy thing in a public place.
yeah, but suddenly like
In
being
a private location, you're like,
Oh,
"Come on,
yeah,
you
yeah.
fucking
I'm
punchy
gonna
thing."
fucking lay the smack down.
But yeah, when it
because
doesn't
nobody-
matter to perform in front of anybody, you
Yeah,
can just,
because nobody there gives a shit what your score was.
Yeah.
yeah, you can just
You
lay
know,
haymakers
whereas in a
on it.
bar, you got some bros like, "Oh, yeah, only
So
so
I was on the
nothing.
basketball team in high school.
Oh, you just cracked 600. Watch this. 1,500, bro. Crushed it.
Yeah.
That's I've seen.
Yeah.
I was in a Buffalo Wild Wings or something with my brother years back, and there were just these massive meathead bros going ham on that thing for like an hour, just hooting and hollering and
Oh,
they were punching the bag, wagging on the bag for an hour straight.
Yeah, well, I just did one where I felt like I threw my shoulder out of joint. I was trying to
Yeah,
hit that
was that
thing
the
so
good
hard.
one? Was that your best?
No,
one?
it wasn't a good one at all because my shoulder gave as soon as I hit the thing. I'm like, that's not good.
You can't put 10 pounds of punch in a 5-pound punching bag.
Well, if you've ever dislocated your shoulder, it's probably not good to punch random things.
Oh, you have another
over
shoulder.
time.
You got to warm up.
Yeah.
You got to do this thing here with
You
the
got another shoulder.
arm rotation.
Go southpaw. Or,
Yeah, you got to lean
That's
to
what
the
you
left.
did, and almost put
No.
your fist through the
that's
claw
true.
machine.
That's true. the claw machine was not built for southpaw punching. Though I
They
found
have
out I'm a lefty shooter though in basketball. That's why I sucked on.
I was just doing left, right, left, right.
They have they have
Rotate
the
'em.
punchy thing, and then they have a claw machine. I didn't even mess with the claw machine, but they have a claw machine right next to it, and that thing's made out of glass and paint. So
Yeah.
Wasn't there an arm wrestling machine too?
yes, Yes, that was
but that
just
one
to the
wasn't
right of the
working,
claw machine.
I don't
Yeah.
think.
I don't think it turned on. Some of them didn't turn on, so you might not have hit all the switches. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. It was still awesome.
Yeah. All right. So
Still
the
counts.
second half here.
Uh-huh.
So aside from obviously we're all given honorable mentions and then top fives.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about like
Anything new?
bad stuff like Suicide Squad or anything like that, or just leave that stuff?
My thing was like movies that I watched that I didn't put on a list of some kind. I want to talk about next week.
Okay.
Yeah, I only have one thing, and it made my honorable mentions that I have not talked before, so I will be super brief as to why.
Yeah. And like a couple of mine, a couple of mine are ones that we either haven't talked about or I haven't said anything
Yeah.
about. So
Yeah. And that's the same way with a couple of mine. Is like
Okay.
I've only watched them in this weekend, so I haven't talked about them.
Exactly.
like 95% of my list is from this weekend.
That's because you declared 2016 a horrible year for movies, despite having watched.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
none.
I didn't. I just said I hadn't seen anything.
I could not let that slide on Twitter when we talked to Chuck last week. He's like, in the Slack, we're like, all right, 2016, we need to get our top fives together for Golden Jocks. And Chuck's like, I don't know, I like Star Trek. Everything else was good TV. I didn't really see anything good. And we're like, all right, well, why don't you watch this? Or maybe this. Or maybe try this. You might like this also. And then, like, the next day, Chuck's like,
Push and play on Yoga Hosers.
Yeah.
Push
All
and
right.
play on Angry Birds, the movie.
time to watch Angry Birds the movie. And we're like, you fucking asshole. You just complained that you have not seen anything good all year.
Yep.
And then you watch Angry Birds. And then right after that, you're like, all right, how about Yoga Hosers?
Well, you also watched the Jungle Book movie, which you said turned
Okay.
out to be okay,
Yeah.
but still, like,
Jungle Book movie is pretty good. Angry Birds movie is surprisingly okay. Yoga Hosers is garbage. So I mean, like,
Surprisingly,
But
okay.
I
Yes.
love the fact that we're like, all right, here's all these good things. You're like, nah, I'd rather watch shit.
I watched what I had available to me.
I know. And your explanation made
it
sense.
did
once
clear
you
it up
talked
a
about
little
it.
bit.
Yeah.
In
Doesn't
that
make you any
basically
less of
you-
a horrible person for
in that if
wasting
you-
your time in
yeah.
the first place.
But
I don't
if you knew you thought it was going to be good, you didn't want to be interrupted.
Sure.
I would
all.
say the only thing that wasted my time of all of the things I watched was Yoga Hosers, and that was not something I was sitting and watching after the 20-minute mark. It was just playing out while I did other things.
Yeah.
So
All right.
Yep.
I wasted 20 minutes.
Yep.
Because I would say, like, we're not going to talk about them until next week, but Angry Birds and Jungle Book are surprisingly worth watching.
Yeah. I
He
feel
didn't
weird
see
because these days
But we did.
I feel weird because these days I can pick up the thread of a movie at any point. Like I used to be like, no, I got to sit down. I got to have 2 hours and I got to watch this. And now it's like you can interrupt me 20 times and I'll pause it and come back and be totally fine.
I don't have a problem with, like, plot or anything like that. That's not why I'm worried about getting, but it's tone.
Yeah,
I want to
do
be-
not like to interrupt a movie.
I want to be immersed in tone of movie, because if I'm taken out of it for 20 minutes, and it's like if you, like, let's say for some reason you're a masochist and you want to rewatch all the scenes that made you upset from a TV show or something, and you just skip to them, it's not as emotional as if you watch the entire episode. It's like you just don't
Yeah.
have that build, you don't have that tone. So that's what it is.
I don't know. The only thing, if not that it ever happens, but if I ever watch a movie like at work or phone or somewhere, where it's got to be something I've seen 5 times minimum. Like, I just seriously, like, if I'm watching anything for
Yeah.
entertainment value, it's like I want to be sitting and doing that only.
Yeah.
Because if I find myself, if I start like tuning out and messing around with my phone, I'm just like, why the fuck am I even watching this? I'll just turn it off.
That's something that is a thing that I use as a bellwether for. Are we back? Are we back?
No.
No, we're just hanging out. Just playing some games.
Chilling.
Something I use as a bellwether for whether I'm enjoying something or not. Like if I find myself pulling out my phone, that's when I know that I've like lost interest in a movie and something's going wrong.
Yeah. My only exception is like looking up the who's that guy? Oh, that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I find myself just looking at Twitter while a movie's going on,
Yeah. At home, I'm real bad about having IMDb open on my phone. Like, always. I obviously don't go in the trivia, because the trivia is just, this person and this person work together.
Yeah.
You know, but there's always, like, a guy will show up, and I'm like, who the fuck is that? Well, how do I know that guy?
Yep.
And then it's like, I have to know then.
Yes.
That was-
Or I will
that's
just
one of
sit
my
there.
movies to a T.
Yeah,
Every
yep.
single person was like, who's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, or I will just sit there during the whole movie going, I bet that guy was in Twilight, wasn't he?
Wasn't there some promise tech, like, wasn't it like early Apple TV or something where you were supposed to say, like, who is that? And
Oh,
it
like
was
on the screen at the
it was
time,
supposed to like pop it up immediately.
Oh.
I think that was Apple TV.
You can
Yeah,
do
it was
that on
like
the new
the
Apple
Siri.
TV. I just don't think it's like scene specific. So
Yeah.
if there's 50 dudes in there, it's just going to show you the cast.
Yeah.
Like the whole cast.
Right.
Not like, oh, this is this guy in this scene.
Yeah.
I think they're still working on that tagging or whatever.
No, get it done.
Yep.
But you can do that. You can be like, who's in this? And there pops the
Okay.
cast on a little overlay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All
I
right.
think I'm ready. I think I've got an order that is surprising. Don't look. And
I can't see. I can't
accurate.
read it from over here anyway.
Good.
So.
Oh, for fuck's sake, everybody. We're not fucking Price Waterhouse hiding our things over here. Just come on.
There's an audit, Chuck.
PricewaterhouseCoopers.
Oh, sorry.
This is a big
Mr.
award
Cooper.
show. It's got to be
Cooper.
Koopa.
Hey, Mr. Cooper.
Koopa.
hanging with Mr. Cooper.
All right, let's do this. Come on.
All right. All right, welcome back.
Hey, BMFcast.
Second half.
Hey, you know what this half is?
The second half.
It's the Golden Jocks, motherfuckers.
There it is.
I know it's coming, so I'll just sit back and let it happen.
Yeah.
I hope that had a lot of reverb on it.
It might.
We always tell Chuck to put reverb, and then he never does.
Chuck doesn't know where the reverb button
never
is.
reverb.
It usually sounds pretty good anyway. So.
Good, sounds good enough.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's, you know.
But yeah, I mean, we might cover a movie or two that we haven't talked about previously. Only.
I
in
definitely
We
doing
did some.
so.
We did some cramming for final exams.
Yeah,
in
we
the
did,
past
we did.
Yes,
couple
we did.
weekends.
But I think I only have like 2 movies that broke into that I haven't talked about before in my list in honorable mentions and/or top 5.
I watched 6 2016 movies this past weekend, so I could flesh out my top 10. But I
Nice.
only needed a top 5 and honorable mentions.
Good
so
job.
there we are.
Nice. So I guess we'll just go around and just talk about our honorable mentions, and
Sure.
then we'll do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 going around thing. So
Okay.
how do we want to go this? How do we want to do? You want to start, Harlow?
Okay.
Go in name presentation order.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just going to rattle off some honorable mentions, and they're in no particular order whatsoever.
Okay.
And I'm just going to end with the one that I've added to the list
All
since I haven't seen it before. So again, no order. Captain America: Civil War, just making my honorable mentions this year. I really liked it. It's I recognize that my love for it is wholly based on comic love and not necessarily the quality of the movie.
Okay.
Because I mean, I fully admit Winter Soldier is a better movie, but there's a huge thing about the crazy airport scene that's just comic awesome for me. So I don't care.
Let's talk about that movie next week.
Can I? Oh, okay.
But
I was just going to see if I could like piggyback into that, and that way I wouldn't have to say anything about.
Oh, go ahead.
if you have it, yeah,
Yeah.
send
Yeah,
that.
because that's one that I watched, and it's also in my honorable unmentionables. There was nothing like outstanding that like really grabbed me about Captain America: Civil War, except for that airport scene. That airport scene was like force feeding me every food I love at the same time.
Yep.
But in all the right ways. Like I loved how they shot that. Just everything worked for that airport scene, unlike anything else in that movie. Like that was the one. It's like 25 minutes long or whatever, but it really was the one thing that they nailed.
I think
in
I
that
like
movie.
more about it than that. I mean, like I actually really like Zemo's motivation and character. I mean, I know comic people are like, that's not how he is, and I don't care. I thought how they handled it was quite good. So
Yeah.
anyway,
And I'm with you there. Civil War's on my honorable mentions too. It's kind of like, I guess, aside from the airport scene, I feel like we know what we're getting with Marvel movies at this point, and they're just not going to stray that far from what they're doing.
yeah.
And-
except I could dovetail into my next one, which is Doctor Strange. Which
Okay.
is kind of wholly unlike every other Marvel movie I've seen, with the exception. I would actually say the thing it plays out closest to is the first Thor movie, which I know is probably going to, if you haven't seen it, you're like, and you don't like Thor, you're gonna be like, bleh. But like, there's a bleh. But there's a certain like. There's a certain level when you hit the like the mystic and the astral stuff. You know, like there's different levels of Marvel Universe. You've got the street level Netflix movies. You know, you've got the big giant beat 'em ups of the Avengers movies. You've got the kind of like the intrigue movie of like a Winter Soldier, and then you kind of have that like Thor, Doctor Strange, where it's like we're messing with shit that y'all can't even comprehend. You know, like we're on a whole different level here, and so like there's just something very entertaining about that. That's like it's a whole different level, and I know a lot of people didn't like the first Thor movie. I thought it was like Branagh was like a perfect choice because it's like it plays off like a Shakespearean thing. Like there's family and intrigue and blah, blah, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I wish I had been able to see it. didn't work out.
Yeah. I know going down this list so far, if I haven't made you mad before, I might now, because it's, again, in no order. Rogue One's in my honorable mentions.
Gasp.
I liked it. I didn't love it. I mean, I can't explain it any more than that. We've had our long discussion on it. It's just in my honorable mentions. I still think it's good. I saw 30 plus movies, 2016 movies, so to even be on this list is still doing pretty good.
Something's got to give.
You
Yeah.
did better than most of us.
Yeah. Moving on. Hardcore Henry. Like I said when I first reviewed that, like, that is a entirely interesting original take that is awesome. I think from beginning to start. Or from start to end.
Yes, it is. Beginning to start is really good.
And I hope that they never, ever, 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 ever do that again.
Yep.
For an entire movie. I mean, like, scenes or whatever are fine. Like, they did kind of the similar thing in The Brothers Grimsby, but not for the entire fucking movie. Like I said, it's like, okay, guys, you did that one. Move on. I don't need 50 things following Blair Witch. You know.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see that.
Sure.
Fortunately.
Another one, Lights Out. I liked it. It's better than it should have been for what it is, based on a short. It's clever. It's the kind of horror movie you can share with teenagers, and there's not, it's PG-13. It's
Share this horror movie with your team.
I'm saying, like, I just think it's a good, accessible horror movie, and it's creepy in all the right ways without having to be gory or whatever. Mm-hmm. And my final one is a newcomer to the list. I watched the Netflix original movie Spectral over the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
The best way I can sum up Spectral is, don't go, like, if you're going in expecting to see something wholly new and wonderful and amazing, don't, because, like, it basically completely rips off Alien and Aliens. But if you're going to rip two things off, those are damn good ones to do. And so on that count, like, when I finally gave in and went, you know what, this is all dumb, but I don't care, it's enjoyable.
Okay.
And that's the mindset you need to go in with. I will say that for a lot of its dumb premises and pseudoscience, at least it plays by its own movie universe rules. Like, there are just things that simply do not make sense. Like, they start off this... if you don't know, the movie's essentially about they find ghosts or murdering people, like ghost soldiers or something, and they're like trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. And one science guy from DARPA is like, I think I could build a camera to detect them. And so he builds a camera, and he can see them, and he's like, they're over there, and everyone else is like, what? I can't see them. That's great. And they all get murdered, and he's like, okay, well, you know what? I think I can turn this camera into a spotlight. It's like, no, that's not a thing that happens. Like, there's not... Light comes into a camera, it doesn't go out. But when you just go, fuck it, I don't care.
You just got to reverse the polarity.
Yeah, exactly.
Leslie.
He reversed the coupling and, fired a neutrino pulse
He
or whatever, and it was fine. And, but the thing is, like, once they have this, flashlight thing for ghosts, they actually, they play by their rules, like, really well. Like, there are points where you're, like, in a found footage movie, you were saying it best, Mackie, like, there are certain times in a lot of found footage movies, it's like, wait, who's holding the camera here?
Yeah.
Like, they break their own rules. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, somebody should be running away and not pointing it right at whatever thing. Mm-hmm. And this one, it's like, when they're running away, the guy's still running with, like, flashlight behind him. So, like, it keeps its own rules of, like, yeah, I can still see the ghost things because he's actually thoughtfully running backwards with the light behind him.
Nice.
So, like I said, it plays by its own rules. And, I mean, it goes full on, like, if you can't pick up the alien likenesses in this movie, you haven't seen Aliens. But like I said, it's pretty fun, and it's on Netflix. That's all my honorable mentions.
Cool.
All right.
Mackie.
All right. I guess it's my turn. How about that? Honorable mentions. As I said, Civil War. I like it. It's solid for what it's doing as a Marvel movie. The airport scene is obviously the standout, but it's just kind of, like, I don't know what I expect from these things anymore. And it's kind of like it's kind of like a season of a TV show at this point, where it's like certain movies are their big, their season premieres and their season finales, and this feels like, I don't know, like the sweeps episode or something. Mm-hmm. It's not quite the big deal. Man, in spite of everything telling me I shouldn't, I had so much fun with X-Men Apocalypse, because it just feels like this weird throwback superhero movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
if that mall scene had been in the movie, that would be at least somewhere on my list.
Yeah, that mall scene needed to be in the movie, and I still can't believe that they left it out. But.
That was the best short film I've seen this year.
Yeah, but the and that's a movie like much the Quicksilver scene in that one is, the price of admission for that movie.
Yeah, it's in my honorable mentions also, and I'm just continually surprised at how much I like the second trilogy of X-Men movies. Like the first trilogy, I really just like
they're chintzy. There's something about them where it's just like the effects weren't there yet.
X-Men 2 is the only good one.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree that of the three, it's the only one that I care about more than the other two. But these most recent three are just, I mean, they're great. They have a different vibe. Each one does, and they're great.
Yeah.
So it's in my honorable mentions also.
And speaking of X-Men movies, Deadpool. I really enjoyed Deadpool. I could not give a fuck about Deadpool as far as a comic character, and that movie making me care about it, about him, and it's got a lot of heart, like way more heart than you are expecting a movie like that to have. And you kind of end up hating the people you need to hate. You end up laughing where you're supposed to be laughing, and it's just like that feels like the best possible version of Deadpool that we could have gotten. And now with the director leaving and all that, the guy who was going to make 2 leaving and bringing on someone else, I'm afraid for that, what's going to happen with the second one.
It feels like that movie hit all its marks. Like it set out to do this, and this, and this, and it just dutifully ticked them off. And I don't say dutifully like it slogged through it, but it, stepped up to the bat.
Well, it's also, it actually had the deck stacked against it from the start. Because Deadpool as a character is annoying as fuck. Yeah. Like, in the comics and, in the movie, it comes off somewhat. Yeah. It's like, that character shouldn't be as endearing as he is in that movie. So
they found, it's on my list as well, they found a very compelling way to make him more human than joke. I mean, they humanized him, and especially, like I think I said when we were talking about it, his relationship. Like, even though they don't spend a lot of time really, selling that relationship, it's believable. Like, I totally believe these two people are into each other. So
they spend enough time, and they do it in a good way that really, that just really gets that idea over.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else about Deadpool? Or?
No, I'll save it for any other time.
All right, that works. Also, honorable mention. This is more a character than the movie, but Sharlto Copley in Hardcore Henry might be my favorite character that showed up all year. Like, everything he's doing in that movie is fucking insane, and it's great. It's just great, and I love the premise behind it. Like, the way that they actually make it happen.
Yep.
Because you're like, wait, that guy's fucking... Like, I just watched that guy get shot in the head. And then, like, a couple scenes later, he's like, oh, hey, buddy. How's it going? And you're like, what the fuck?
I could not agree more on that.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Yeah.
God, why is he so good?
He made Elysium better, and that movie is... But
I still need to watch that one.
His scenes are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
He didn't fook any creatures.
He didn't fook any creatures.
No. But, I mean, Hardcore Henry is kind of like... It feels... I think the first-person thing makes it feel like too long of a movie. I think it gets fatiguing, which is why it kind of doesn't quite make my list. But I need to recognize him in some way, because he's fucking amazing in that movie.
Absolutely.
And the last one I have, which almost made the top 5, not quite, is Green Room, which is just fucking intense.
Yeah,
that's all I can say.
I should have put that in my honorable mentions. Like, that's a damn good movie.
Yeah, it's a lean machine of just like, God, it's tense throughout. It's really great. It just doesn't. The end of it doesn't quite pay off how I was hoping it would. It's a realistic ending with how it happens, but it's just kind of like you set these guys, you set us up for a lot more intense and like a lot more fuck yeah ending than we get.
Yeah,
which is probably the only reason it doesn't make my top 5.
My problem is I watched Blue Ruin too, and I think that plays better like throughout. So like I watched that like the week later, and it was like it kind of tainted my green room experience. It was like this is
Teal room.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But yeah, those are my honorable mentions.
All right. It's my turn. I'm just going to go straight down this list, which is in no particular order. Deadpool is also in my honorable unmentionables. From everything that and I'm not a comic fan, but from everything that the internet has presented me about Deadpool, because I don't really go search it out. I just catch little bits blowing in the wind here and there. But from everything I see, there's this shitload of irreverence and weirdness to the Deadpool character and smarminess, and but every once in a while, there's like 4 panels of intense human heart and realism in that character. And I think they nailed it. I think they absolutely nailed it from everything that I've seen. Now, people who are fans of the comic book can say whatever they want. Doesn't really matter to me because I'm not in that world. But everything that I've seen, they just stroke by stroke nailed that character. And the storytelling method, I think, was pretty wonderful in that movie. And it just was really good. I really liked it. It didn't make the top 5, despite how many nice things I'm saying about it, because it's just, as far as a movie goes, it's pretty good. Which is kind of feels silly that I've heaped a bunch of praise on it, but it was just pretty good.
Honorable mentions are good movies.
Yeah, it's essentially a big dumb action flick that's just done really well. Next, London Has Fallen, and this really only makes it sort of, because it's a Has Fallen movie and it's one of the 10 that I saw this year.
It's a Has Fallen movie.
Right. It's the second in the Has Fallen
in
trilogy.
The Has Fallen cinematic universe.
Right. It is...
we call it Has Fallen. Kids are taking it. They eat so many donuts, they end up looking like Gerard Butler, and then they just fall over a lot.
It's like Olympus Has Fallen, only worse.
That is probably the best way to describe it.
That's the only way to describe it.
Yeah.
It's just like a half step back from Olympus Has Fallen. I was a lot higher on it, I think, when I'd first watched it than now, but it's still pretty good.
It's dumb.
You could do worse for a big dumb action movie.
Yeah.
By a long stretch.
Yes.
Speaking of big dumb action movies, next, Captain America: Civil War. That 400-minute airport beat 'em up scene is awesome. The rest of it, the conflict between Cap and Tony Stark seems real dumb. I didn't really feel like the character motivation for like the Sokovia, whatever his name is, dude. I didn't feel like that was all that strong. I can understand how that would be a powerful motivator for a character, but it just doesn't. I don't feel like it sold.
I think
to me very well.
Yeah, no, I'm not arguing with you. I just think that like it's probably because Age of Ultron didn't resonate like it should, and that movie's plot so heavily depends on it. Like,
yeah,
I think it's a lot better movie than Age of Ultron, but like, because Age of Ultron, like with time, you're going, well, actually, there's a lot of dumb, and there's a lot of, and I think like this movie, like basically being like, no, these events are super important, and they're going to be key roles of this movie. It's like kind of check out a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, and also they don't sell like the. So here's, I don't really want to get into this that far, but the whole crux of the Sokovia Accords is like, look, the Avengers have made a big mess out of things. It's like, and there are like 6 billion people on the planet who don't realize that they would all be subjugated and murdered had this stuff not happened. And it is a tragedy every time anyone dies, but like any one person, but things happen sometimes, and things happen in the pursuit of not letting things get a whole lot worse. And I don't want to trivialize death at all, but like it just seems wholly unrealistic that these people, that like 6 billion people on the planet, because I assume there's some dissenters, are just like, yeah, fucking lock them up. Don't just put those guys in check. We need to get a hold of them because a couple thousand people have died where billions of people would have died. So yeah, put them in check real quick. It just seems a little flimsy to me. Yeah. Anyhow, pretty good, just not that good. I didn't have a whole lot of expectations going into it, and I guess it kind of met those.
Good job.
Yeah. Next, speaking of no expectations, Star Trek Beyond. Mm-hmm. That was much better than I was expecting it to be. From Star Trek Into Darkness, going into this, I was like, well, it's going to be a weird, it's going to be a big, crazy action Star Trek sort of thing. I guess I'll watch it. I was mildly amused by the first two. And turns out I was a little bit wrong. I actually quite enjoyed it. I thought it was more Trek-ish than the previous installations, and I kind of like it. I was expecting a little bit more weird, sad about Spock stuff, and they didn't trade that in for a bunch of emotional credits, which I appreciate. They didn't just like.
The only thing I thought was weird about that is that no one really. I mean, they kind of hint at it, but you got this timeline Spock, and no one's really saying, "Hey, old you is dead." I mean, they're talking about Spock like it's a different guy. No one's really saying like, "Man, that must be rough. You are dead." I mean,
they don't address it too much. I think it's because it's a separate timeline-y thing. And I guess they sort of dealt with that in the first.
I guess, but everyone's kind of like, "Oh, you're sad about that, huh? Yeah, I guess he was your buddy, huh? Yeah, your only other Vulcan friend. Yeah, I know." It's like, no, wait, that's you. You died. Old you is dead.
Well, yeah.
It's just there could have been someone could have addressed. No one knew how to address it, and no one even acts like they knew how to address. It's just, I don't know.
They were a little bit busy trying to save the.
Yes, they had a lot going on.
The Federation.
You're right.
So I'm sure they will deal with it in the interstitial episode.
Probably, yes.
Which is not. Anyhow, next is Ghostbusters 2016. This one did not. I'm surprised that this one didn't make the top 5. Had it
been good?
Zing.
I'm kidding.
I mean, had it been better, well, had it been better, it would have made the top 5. I should say it got knocked out by movies that I saw this weekend,
Nothing
and
wrong
that
with that.
surprised me. The quality of the movies that I saw this weekend really surprised me. I still really like Ghostbusters 2016. I think it's a fine film, not #Chuck Fine trademark, but better than that. I think it's really, really pretty good. I enjoyed it. I've kind of softened a bit on it in the last few months since I've seen it. But I still think it was solid, and I still think that it got short shrift because people went into it wanting to hate it.
Yeah.
Like looking for reasons to dislike it because of their own personal motivations.
Right.
So I think if you go into that movie with a open mind and heart, it's going to be a lot better than you think. And now I'll shut up for a few minutes so that Chuck can talk.
Oh, all right. Okay, so my honorable mentions, 2 of which we already mentioned, X-Men Apocalypse and Deadpool. I watched a bunch of 2016 comedies, and some of them were worthy of mentioning as an honorable mention. Keanu, which we've talked about previously. And I saw Neighbors 2, which I enjoyed Neighbors 1. This is kind of pretty much on par with that. It's the same movie, really. Although, one thing that kept me from really getting into it, especially in the later moments in that film, is that there's some frankly super illegal shit going on that you should call the cops about and put a stop to. And for reasons, the movie just decides like, no, if we call the cops, then the cops will know that we did this other thing. So no, it's like, no, dude, you should totally call the police. They've they Craiglisted all your furniture, and they've done some creepy illegal shit. I mean, it's time to put a stop to this. But I don't know, that's just, a big dumb comedy, and it's exactly what you expect, but it was enjoyable. And then I've got 3 movies that I don't think we've talked about before. We may be talking about shortly. One movie is The Infiltrator, which is Bryan Cranston drug enforcement movie, undercover thing. I like that movie a lot. The performances are strong. It's interesting. It's one of those period piece undercover do stuff, set to music of the time, that kind of thing, montage-y stuff. The only thing that really, really bothered me about it is that being so soon after Breaking Bad and having Bryan Cranston do this kind of duality role, he's got to balance the home life and his undercover drug enforcement job. That was just like, okay, I just saw a lot of this, and it was really good. And it's like, I don't want that to be the only thing he can do, is have to do that role. So his performance was very similar to Breaking Bad, which isn't bad. It's just familiar. And so that was not enough for me to go, wow, this is a great film. It's a very good film. Midnight Special, which you were going to go see in a theater at some point. I don't know if did you ever get there?
I did not.
Okay. Midnight Special is something incredible. It's an amazing achievement in what it does, and it's a science fiction movie that is so minimalist. Like, it's like you can have people walk through the room 1,000 times while you're watching it and not be able to know what it is you're watching. Like, have no idea it's a science fiction movie. And I appreciate it. I liked it a lot. It's so minimalist at times where it's just like, man, there's literally nothing happening. Like, no one's talking, no one's moving. It's just driving or people looking at each other. And it's just like, I get it. I get the tone. I get the feel of this thing. But, man, you got to have a little something else. Like, I was kind of just zoning out of it. And I'm like, man, I really like this, but I really would like a nap, too.
Yeah. I actually started it at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Like, I was going to watch that because it was high on my to watch list, and it was too late at night. And I will say this, like, right off the bat, and I like this movie. This is, some people might think I'm being insulting, but like, I was getting a very Perfect World
kind of
vibe from it, where it's just, there's a lot of driving and looks and thinking, but like,
it's one of those movies that kind of hums. It's got like this kind of droning quality to it. Like, the soundtrack is just, like buzzing, it's just like, it's just mood and atmosphere. And it's like, if you were fucking wired out of your mind, this would be amazing. But man, if you even are a tiny bit sleepy, it's going to be like, man, if I could just rest my eyes for a second movie, I'll be right back. But it's really strong, and really, I recommend everyone see it. And then the last thing on my honorable mentions is The Magnificent Seven, the hot Denzel Washington, Chris Pratt Western remake. Here's the thing about that movie. I think the pre-credits sequence, the cold open of that movie is fucking strong. Like, that is just like, man, my blood, let's go. Let's murder. Get the 7 guys together and let's fucking murder everybody. And then it's like a midsection of...
down.
It's a midsection that's totally familiar. It's just... get together all the motley crew, and everyone's motley in the ways that you think they're gonna be. There's really not a big, like, there's nothing different about the midsection of this movie to really make it stand out in any way. It's just, let's go from place to place and get weird guy.
Let's get the band together.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, this is good. Like, you're doing a good job with this, but this is just... They did it in The Magnificent Seven, and in 1,000 movies since then.
That's the thing about it, is that story's been told so many times. You need to do something different with it.
And they don't. It's the same kind of thing. It's just the same, like, let's get these crazy guys together and we'll go do a thing. But man, when they get them and they go do the thing, holy shit. Like, this movie, I'm sitting there, I'm going, man, this is such a disappointment. And then that kicks in, I'm like, oh, no, it's not.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's how the original Magnificent Seven is it's very much like a 60s paced movie. And then the last act is like, all right, shit goes down for like 45 minutes.
Yeah. But this shit goes down in a way that is modern and good, and in a way that you were just like, fuck yeah. Just fuck yeah. There is a point where Denzel comes through a door on his fucking horse, and I was just like, I stood up. I was like, that's awesome. He just murdered that guy coming through that door, and he's on his horse. That was a good time. That's.
Is that like a gallop by? Is that? How,
I don't know. It's a.
No, it's like a defenestration, but on a horse through a wall.
Yes,
like he just explodes out of the wall.
Yeah,
on a horse into a dude.
Kool-Aid Man's on a horse.
Yes. And it's just like, oh my god,
mounted Kool-Aid Man murders a dude.
Yep.
And there's no way for him to really see that dude either. It was just well timed.
But I think there was a window there.
Okay,
like
maybe.
there was like. It was like a storefront, so it was like a door and a window on either side, and you probably could have guessed that
Denzel
that guy was.
knew.
Yeah, of course.
Denzel always knows.
Wrecked that guy.
Yeah, and
King Kong ain't got nothing on him.
Special props to Ethan Hawke in this.
Yeah, real strong.
Surprisingly strong. Like, that dude in the last 10 years has taken a bunch of roles where you're just like, I can't nail this guy down. I don't know who or what Ethan Hawke is anymore. Like, he for that period
I think
of time,
that plays to his advantage in this.
yes,
very much so.
But I think, like, for a time he was just that, Beyond Sunrise guy, and he was just going to be that guy forever. And then he started doing all these horror movies and all the Antoine Fuqua movies, and you're just like, man,
Hey, fuck Fuqua.
sorry,
Jesus.
but it's so good. I mean, totally worth watching. Don't listen to me about the midsection of this movie. Just fucking watch this movie. So,
All right.
I'll touch more
I
on
figured
that
it's coming back
when
around.
when the man comes around.
So,
All right, we ready for proper ones now?
Yeah.
5.
Yes, number 5.
Reverb. Extra reverb.
I'll put it on there.
That's probably not happening. Number 5 for me is Star Trek Beyond. I mean, we've talked about this movie. I think it's damn strong. It's damn fun. I really hope, like I said, I've said it before, I really hope J-Lo becomes a regular character. I mean, she's awesome.
I liked her a lot.
And
Yeah,
I want her back.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you do.
Yeah, I just. But no, it's an enjoyable movie, and it helped. It helped coming off into Darkness, where that you had that initial theater of like, yeah, that was good, and then you think about it, it's like, wait
a second, that's dumb.
But no, I enjoyed it a lot. We've talked about it.
Yeah. I did too. That's my number 5.
All right,
Star Trek Beyond. Yeah, I think honestly, Justin Lin is really going to have to fuck up to not make my top 5 any given year he releases a movie at this point.
All right.
Because like I talked about last week, it's like when you give him a moment where like if you gave him Denzel busting through a wall on a horse, you know that he's going to make the best possible version of Denzel busting through a wall on a horse. And that goes for, Star Trek, where how do you destroy a fleet of things? All right, here's the best possible way to destroy a fleet of things.
Yeah.
And that's what he does. I think he just knows how to nail all that stuff, and he knows how to work with ensembles and give everybody a good moment or two throughout the movie. And that I really enjoyed it. I think the only real knock on it from me is Idris Elba's character's motivation is kind of like, all right, I guess, but
they needed to. I think they needed to laser in on that a little bit more and kind of explore it a little bit better, because they just kind of like, all right, punch, 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 go.
Yeah, I will say, I think that's one thing that they kind of relied on people being full-on Star Trek fans, because they kind of like did this whole thing where you know that he'd been down on that planet for a while, and the time period that they were talking about was like World War III essentially in Star Trek land.
Yeah.
So like he was fucking like born of war, lived war, and then they were like, war's over, and that whole thing of like, fuck that shit. I'm gonna Heart of Darkness this shit.
Yeah, there's a lot more to explore there for
I know.
A soldier who that's the only thing he's good at is being a soldier.
Exactly.
And they spent 9 seconds on it in the end of the movie.
Sure.
You had no idea. Like, the character by itself, up to that point, was fine. I was fine with he's just, doing he's just a bad guy for bad guy's sake, whatever. But when they finally do the reveal, I'm like, so? I don't give a shit. I don't know why he's so mad, but whatever, he's mad. Okay. It just felt, I don't know, it just felt a little bit lazy.
Yeah.
That's a little bit
But
harsh,
it's still, it's a really fun movie.
absolutely.
Yeah. Despite those quibbles.
The scene
The triples.
The trouble with quibbles.
The trouble with
There you
quibbles.
go.
The scene that that the trailer tried to ruin
Yeah, that's a real disappointment.
Yeah.
But
Again, never watch trailers.
So I only saw part of the trailer, but that works so well.
Yep.
It's set up well and it pays off really well. And you get that Chris Pine, that good Kirk smirk in that
Kirk smirk.
in that scene, and I just think that was like, I'm so glad that I didn't see enough of the trailer for that to be ruined for me, because that it's not powerful, it's not amazing, but God, it feels good. It just makes you feel nice inside.
yeah.
What was your number 5, by the way?
My number 5 is I didn't. Sorry, we were all kind of jumping in on Star Trek. I didn't know if you were.
It's a discussion.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm good.
All right, cool. My number 5 is the Magnificent Seven. I put it 2 spots higher than its number because it definitely deserves to be up there. It starts strong. The middle is not bad by any stretch of the imagination. I almost want to lean towards a little like Chuck Fine. It's serviceable. It's just nothing special.
It sounds like you were just saying it was kind of rote. Like we know where this is going. Like get there.
Yeah. And it actually feels like they hustle through that pretty quick.
I haven't seen this. I don't know.
That felt like the fastest part of the movie to me. Is it just click, 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 and I know it's like 400 hours or whatever, but it.
By the way, every movie this year is over 2 hours for some weirdo reason.
Not all of my movies.
Okay, all right.
I actually picked some of them that I was watching by running time. The podcast is getting to me, but it moves along during that middle part, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. They don't fuck anything up. There's nothing untoward about it. It does what it's supposed to be. It's a perfectly serviceable middle, and then the end is just fucking nuts. It's got and I'm always going to make this is always going to be the Three Amigos setup for me. It was at the group of townspeople that have no fucking idea what they're doing.
That's okay.
It's just because I've seen Three Amigos 100 million times, way more than any other. That's the Western that influenced me.
All the other retellings of Seven Samurai, that's the one you see the most.
Right.
Yeah. Not Bug's Life, not Galaxy Quest.
Nope.
Yeah, right.
No, I've seen Three Amigos. Like,
sure, yeah, I'm with you. I've seen that way more than I've seen any of the other ones. Yes.
So it's always going to be the Three Amigos setup to me, where the getting the
so like the wind.
so old one, so like the wind.
I love when people say that. Like some of the Amazon reviews were like, "This is just the Three Amigos." I'm like, "Oh, you poor soul."
I mean, yes, but only in a roundabout way. But I love that Three Amigos Home Alone sort of setup.
What do you know best?
Or Straw Dogs. Is that the other one?
Yeah.
I can feel buckets with sand. All right, you go over there and throw buckets of sand on people.
What do you do? I play the lute. Fuck off. But I love those setup scenes. It's good montaging. Aside from plot and execution thereof, Vincent D'Onofrio real strong, and he doesn't have a huge part, but I really like that he's going for character. He's not just playing just a dude, just a Western dude, or just like I'm Trapper John, I'm gruff Trapper John. He's got a
backstory,
especially yes, but especially in his vocal affectation, he's really put character into that.
Yep.
Which is way more important, I think, than doing an accent. And Denzel is just Denzel, strong.
Yes.
Denzel being Denzel is good, but Vincent D'Onofrio's character, I feel like he worked on that and thought about it, and so.
Oh, sorry, I don't want to break your thought.
No,
I was going to throw in something totally 180 fucking Magnificent Seven. I just had this weird thought, Hollywood has no original ideas, so they say. We're talking about a remake of a remake of a remake here, but if it's going to happen, I want to see. Obviously, I mean, I'm 100% locked in Vincent D'Onofrio, And I would actually say, crazily enough, I'd say in 5 to 10 years, I would also put James Franco, give me an Apocalypse Now remake.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
Because I think James Franco comes across sort of like a young Martin Sheen, but he needs about 5 or 10 more years of aging. And so does D'Onofrio to play Kurtz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can totally see it like D'Onofrio.
I'm not saying remake Apocalypse Now, but if it's inevitably going to happen,
right.
at least do it well.
D'Onofrio could do it right now.
Yeah,
I don't.
exactly.
He's right.
I know. I'm saying
He's
so
probably ready.
D'Onoff up to no good.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's ever been like. I don't know if he's ever been necessarily bad, but he's getting real good. There are a bunch of like old dudes that are getting fat in my top 5. I mean,
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I like old dudes getting fat.
Yeah.
just
This year for that.
something about these actors like
I got a
aging
few old dudes getting fat on
and-
my list here, too.
getting portly that just seems to be working for them, and by proxy me. I mean, John Goodman's always been pretty big. Spoiler alert. But that's Magnificent Seven. Go on.
Oh, okay, fine. Before I say number 5, I wanted to say, before I gave my honorable mentions, nothing I saw came out after the last week of September. Like, that was apparently the cap of what I was able to see. I didn't see Rogue One, and I haven't seen anything that came out since the last weekend of September. So just bear that in mind. Like, these are not like our video game awards. These are my top 5 favorites of the year. They are not all encompassing. So, so that being said,
that was a caveat for some, like, I like the fucking Angry Birds.
Yep. Angry Birds number 5. Here it is.
number 5 is so. Like I said,
Yoga
I'd
hosers.
seen a bunch of comedies this year.
Fucking
So, but one comedy seemed to stand out better than the rest, and I think it was because of the soundtrack, which is amazing for this movie. The movie's Pop Star. I watched that movie last night, like at midnight, and was stifling myself from laughing the entire night. Like, these other comedies, I'm like, okay, that's funny. Yes, that's good jokes. I appreciate the setups and everything. Pop Star is fucking amazing. Like, the jokes in that are they're hitting me. Like, they wrote jokes for me. Like, these jokes are built for my head. And apparently that reflected in the box office also, because I didn't go see it and no one else did. So, but man, it is a really, really funny movie. To me, it is like a good companion piece to Walk Hard. It's got that same kind of vibe to it.
Sure.
To where I could watch them back to back and just be totally thrilled. But holy God, that soundtrack. I've listened to it twice today, start to finish, is so good. I'm humming the most inappropriate songs.
What the fuck is the one that the Two Banditos? Jesus,
Yeah.
I've listened to that
Yes.
so many fucking times. It's not even funny.
Well, that's the thing about the Lonely Island guys is they focus on making a good song first and then making it funny second.
Yeah.
And that's why their stuff works.
Yeah.
Is they're not just like parodying
Right.
Justin Bieber songs.
Yes.
They're going, how can we make an awesome Justin Bieber song?
Yep.
And then make it
jokes
funny
on
as
top of
fuck.
that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And that's exactly how
And
they've done so well.
it's helpful that they're talented musicians also, that they can put together the music to where it is comparable to what you would hear on the radio.
Yeah.
It's just that the lyrics are completely ridiculous. And so,
Yeah, I liked it better on a second viewing.
Yeah.
But my problems are like, number one, I think I had the best joke in the movie spoiled by them actually like appearing on a talk show, which I saw a clip of.
the 30 Seconds to Mars joke.
No, that was good, but the scene in the limo where he's like, "I'm about this."
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. All right. Jesus.
But yeah, but that and like Hot Rod, man, Hot Rod is so like almost
love Hot Rod.
goddamn fucking flawless
Hot Rod is
movie.
great.
It's so good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I just have a question before we move on.
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like I'm kind of tired / over Andy Samberg.
Hot takes.
Well,
No,
I mean, I'm not trying to make a
know.
hot take out of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, is this something that
I think the movie itself is strong.
actually,
that is
here-
strong enough to?
Here's what's something funny. I think that will play in well for the movie because that's kind of what they were going for.
Yeah.
Like, they are a thing, the three of them. They
Yes.
all came up together, and he's the one that's fucking famous.
Yeah.
And they,
Okay.
they
And it's kind of the other two, like, hey, we were famous too.
yeah, like-
we also helped you with your success, that kind of
see
thing.
how much
It's-
you're dropping off being shitty when
Yeah.
we're not helping you.
Yeah. He's not the hero of the movie.
No.
I just feel like I
I don't much like him either. Like
not that I hate him. I just feel like I'm just kind of over his style of humor, and that's what I wanted to know, if it's strong enough.
The movie is strong
to work.
There's enough support around him to where, I mean, it's one of those movies where everyone from Saturday Night Live shows up.
Yeah.
So
when I was browsing through things, I found myself going, Andy Samberg. But I wanted to...
I almost passed it up.
Since I'm trying to be better about this shit. And people whose opinions I respect, I kind of wanted to ping off and see if it...
I think you should give it a watch.
And I should
give it a shot.
Give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, we on to number...
Thank you, Chuck.
Number 4.
I'll just...
Give us a dramatic
Give us
number
a 4,
BJ.
God damn it.
4.
There we go.
All right, that's...
With reverb.
We'll punch
I
it.
put my own in there.
So yeah, my number 4, a newcomer to my list altogether. Hell or High Water.
Hell or High Water.
Hell or High Water. Is that a question? Hell or High Water? Hell or High Water.
I like Helen Highwater. She grew up down the street from me.
This movie was like not even on my radar. I don't think I even knew about it. And then we were kind of talking about best of stuff in the year, and last week the chat was like Hell or High Water, and I was like, okay, we'll go watch this. Like, you know,
Okay.
I was, you know, people that come on that strongly, I'm like, all right, fine, give me your movie, I will watch it. But yeah, no, it's a damn strong movie. I mean, it's 100% performance based. I mean, what's happening is not particularly anything new. I mean, I feel like it's the kind of plot you've seen since Westerns were invented. You know, I mean, it's not exactly a Western, but it is. I mean, it's a modern day Western with modern day sensibilities, but
It's
with
the
a tale.
Good guy, bad guys.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's the kind of bad guys where you can kind of see where they're coming from, especially in the Chris Pine character. So yeah, I didn't even mean to put 2 Chris Pine movies in a row, but I just realized I did that. But yeah, Ben Foster's really good in it, and Jeff Bridges, I mean, he's fucking Jeff Bridges. I mean, you give him kind of mumble, and he's probably going to be pretty good.
He's enjoying doing mumbly characters lately.
Yeah, but it works in this. Like, I would rather see him in like doing that in this and True Grit instead of like, I'm a monster fighter kung fu guy. You know, I'm just saying, like...
R.I.P.D.
Yeah, whatever that was. I fucking forgot what the hell that movie was, but...
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a damn good movie with top-notch performances all around. Yeah, I mean, Chris Pine's, like, especially good in it, and Ben Foster is his normal, good, evil,
Who's
bad
Ben
guy.
Foster?
No, we're not doing that again.
Yeah.
He's a joke.
Yeah, Ben Foster. I was to say that before I move on, in my catch-up movies, I ended up 2 of the 3 movies I was able to catch up with when I didn't do all this catching up like you guys did. I watched 2 Ben Foster movies inadvertently. I also watched Warcraft.
Oh, wow.
So.
Didn't make your list? Or is it coming soon? Spoilers?
No.
Oh, all right.
No. I'm just going to go and say no.
Ah.
I canceled that subscription.
Okay.
Yeah. What was it you put it that Duncan Jones probably shouldn't go any bigger than Source Code?
Yeah, Source Code is like as big as Duncan Jones, I think, should make a movie. Like, and I mean that's I mean both that and Moon are like high concept movies.
Well, he's working on Mute, so we'll have a Golden Jocks to give him next year.
Probably. I hope so.
Yeah.
Or we just won't say anything about it.
Mute.
I get it. All right. You done?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You done?
Well,
hurry up.
I don't want to cut him off.
I know.
But my number 4 is The Vitch.
Oh, The Vitch.
The Vitch.
Yeah, that's a movie that still sticks with me as far as especially where it ends up by the end of it. But I don't think any movie had more atmosphere to it than this one did. And I really think that the filmmaking in this is, aside from my number 1, is probably the best, like, pure filmmaking of the year that I saw, as far as how, you know, the performance of the director got out of his actors, how everything was paced, just how everything was framed and shot. Just, it's a gorgeous, ugly movie, if that makes any sense. Like, it is a shitty, shitty world that these people are in, but the way it's shot makes it look amazing.
Yeah, probably like Revenant. You know, it's like everything about there is like, I don't want to be anywhere in this movie, but damn, it looks good on right now.
It's kind of like that, but it's hard to explain. But it's a movie that also, it's so gray that it almost comes off as like a black and white movie. But obviously it's not, because there's enough color there and certain scenes.
There's some color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a movie that'll stick with you. That's for sure.
And it stuck with you.
It has. I gave it 4.5 stars, and it's one of those that I'm pretty sure if I watched it again tomorrow, I'd probably give it 5 stars.
That's the best kind of movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I want to rewind real quick and just drop in one little quibble about Magnificent Seven, if I could.
Sure.
It's just something that you said
The
something
less than stellar 7.
the maybe 6.5. I'm not sure. The only quibble that there's probably some others, but one of the biggest quibbles that I had with Magnificent Seven is it doesn't look like a Western to me. There's something about it, like the aspect ratio is off, like it needs to be one of those, much wider.
It looks like a modern movie trying to make a Western.
You need at least 235 for a Western. It's rules.
Whatever you say, boss. I say that because I don't know
that's about as widescreen as we go these days.
Yeah.
But like How the West one was like 3-1. I mean, it's
not as sprawling as it should.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it, and the color maybe is a little bit too
brown.
No, no, it's like it's in some ways it's a little too rich. In other ways, it's maybe it's just lacking a little, a good splash of color. But there, minor quibble, it just doesn't look like it. Like in those scenes where they're riding out on the plains, it looks cramped, I guess you could say. Like I expect to see all of California or Nevada in the background or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
so you just rated a 5 out of 7.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Your actual number 4.
Yeah. Anyhow, so number 4 on my list is 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a movie that came out this year.
Yeah. It's one that kind of tried to sneak by, and I honestly I wouldn't have stopped on it if I hadn't, I knew John Goodman was in it, but I saw Mary can't even say her name. She's wonderful.
Ramona Flowers.
Ramona Flowers, yeah. Mary Elizabeth Winstead. And I was like, oh, hey, Ramona Flowers is in this. Maybe I'll give it a shot. It's kind of a swift movie. I think. Vaguely recall it being,
it's not
9 hours long.
Yeah.
But damn, am I glad that I stopped. That movie is real strong. John Goodman is magnificently creepy in all the right ways. God, that guy just never sucks. And this is an excellent performance. I
just watched the Flintstones.
Okay, yeah. All right.
I mean, mostly never.
95% of the time he's on.
Yeah. Maybe that's the movie's fault, not John Goodman's fault.
True.
Yeah. Don't blame John Goodman.
Okay, he's a good man.
He's a good man.
He is. He's
thorough.
He's a great man,
Dollman.
as far as his performance in this movie. But it is tense and claustrophobic, and I feel like it's paced really well. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is really good. The other guy in this movie,
the dude from the newsroom.
Yeah. I thought he was really good. There were a couple moments where, where shit just gets real fast. And those took me by complete surprise, and I was just like sitting there shocked on my couch, like, oh my God, that happened. Holy shit. Well, what now? And just in general creeped out that they do a really good job of making you feel cramped, and keeping things unsure for a long time.
Yeah.
And then even weirder shit happens, and I'm like, okay, I'll buy it. I want to see the next one.
Yeah.
Or whatever else happens after this movie. Like I'm very glad I watched it. Some really excellent performances. It's nothing to speak of necessarily visually, except for they do a good job of making you feel like you're locked in an underground vault thing with John Goodman for 2 hours, with creepy ass crazy John Goodman for 2 hours. And he has some real good like edge of sanity moments in this that just are played really well. I just thought it was excellent performances from both Ramona Flowers and Fred Flintstone.
My number 4 is Star Trek Beyond. We've all talked about Star Trek Beyond. It's a great movie. That's my number 4.
There we go.
That was very that was efficient. I like
Well, we've talked about it in recent weeks and a bunch on the
Yeah.
show already, so I
Okay.
can't add anything else to it.
All right.
3.
And just okay, I totally ruined your reverb, but just tagging on to Star Trek Beyond and
Yeah.
Justin Lin.
Yeah.
Okay, there might be a chance you won't make my top 5.
Hot Wheels.
Space Jam 2.
Oh, Space Jam 2?
Attached to direct Space Jam 2 at some
Yeah.
point.
He might knock the fucking roof off Space Jam too.
Yeah.
You never know.
What if it's really good?
Oh, does that?
You know
is,
what?
Is it going to have LeBron in it?
Yes.
So
it's
you're automatically
doomed.
going to hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Fair
He
enough.
was all right in Trainwreck.
What if they kill him off like in the first 5 minutes?
Hey, psycho that shit.
Yeah.
Here's LeBron James. No.
Number 1 movie of 2017. Space Jam 2!
Dun, 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 dun.
All right.
And if they also kill Shaq, then it'll be Mackey's favorite movie of
Oh
all
my
time.
God.
Well,
Don't-
he won't even leave the theater. It'll just be on repeat.
Just watch it forever.
His pants
They'll
off.
have LCD screens
Sitting
mounted.
there with his cat.
You have no comprehension of how happy that would make me.
Says the man in the magic hat.
Yeah, just have the fucking general from those commercials come out and murder Shaq. That would be the best.
What?
That's
Any
what he does. He
particular-
does the general insurance commercials now.
Oh, he does. Okay.
He's like, oh yeah, buy some general insurance. I'm Shaq.
You can protect your Shaq.
I don't need insurance, but you do. So get the cheapest possible
Careful, you're getting
insurance.
into Dikembe Mutombo there. And I will brook no dissent against Dikembe.
Oh no, Dikembe's awesome. He sounds like Cookie Monster.
That's right.
Well, speaking
Anyway.
of monsters.
So, number 3.
On to number 2.
Number 3 for me. You just talked about it. 10 Cloverfield Lane. That is a damn
answer, good answer, good
strong
answer.
movie. I think the only reason it's not higher is I'm not sure I was 100% on board with where it goes at the end. I'm like 75 to 80% on board with where it goes.
That's fair.
Like, in the very, very end. But everything leading.
It's a bold choice, Cotton.
Yeah, I would liken it like this. I've talked about it in the past. Like the first 75, probably even 90% of Dark City is one of my favorite movies of all time, and the last 10% is the worst goddamn thing in the world, thus ruining the movie for me altogether. This doesn't do that. I just saying like it kind of 180s so much that I'm like, all right, but not to its complete detriment. Still like number 3 for me of the year. So 10 Cloverfield Lane.
All right. My number 3 is a movie we haven't talked about yet, or at least I haven't. The Nice Guys. Shane Black. You know what you said about like all the jokes were designed for you? That's how Shane Black movies feel for me.
Yep.
It's like I'd love to be in Shane Black's head for a day or two
can
just to hear the pithy comebacks he has to literally everything everyone says to him all day long.
Yeah.
Because like as far as dialogue goes, that guy he fucking nails it every time when everything he writes. I'm like, all right, you got me. You got me. And I think his problem becomes plotting because the plot of this gets so tangled and weird and like you're just like, I don't know what the fuck's happening or why this is happening, but I like it.
Yeah.
I bet he's one of those guys that doesn't have the comeback right away, but like 20 minutes later, the
he's got it.
earth-shattering comeback happens.
And he has a little notepad.
And he writes it down. he absolutely writes it down. And he's
Yeah.
like, I'll put it in the movie. I'll put it in the movie.
Because God, like
Snappy dialogue.
Yeah, it doesn't go more than like 3 minutes without something that makes me chuckle watching that movie. And I guess Chuck and I talked about it a little bit earlier today, but of course the first entry for trivia in IMDb is that it was supposed to be a TV show pilot that didn't get picked up, so they made it into a movie.
Motherfucker.
And yeah, because it has that feeling at the end where it just kind of ends and it's like, well, here's where we could go from here. And it's like,
See you next time.
da-da-da. Yeah.
You're right. It does feel like it does feel like they left it off like...
It feels incomplete, almost. Like, you get to the end, and it's kind of like, yeah, we had an adventure.
Yeah.
Right.
It didn't work out, but we're had a good time.
Yeah. And, I mean, that fits with the whole, like, we're trying to do a Rockford Files type thing by the end of it. But, yeah, I mean, it's just strange that it's a movie that feels like it has 100% of the things I want in a movie. And yet, I don't love it. And I'm not sure why. Mm-hmm. Because, like, man, Fat Russell Crowe. I fucking love Fat Russell Crowe. Fat Russell Crowe is awesome.
Yeah.
Maggie's going to name his first son Fat Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might.
You should really watch Man of Steel.
Is there more Fat Russell Crowe in that, too?
Yes.
Yeah. Super fat
wish
Russell
that on
Crowe.
anyone, Chuck.
But he likes Fat Russell Crowe, and there's good Fat Russell Crowe in Man of Steel.
I think you can find better Fat Russell Crowe.
I don't know,
but
he's some of the strongest points of Man of Steel.
But yeah, I enjoy it. I just kind of, I hate to say it, but I think I wish that movie didn't have the daughter in it. Unlike Iron Man 3, where I was totally cool with that kid tagging along throughout, who shows up in the first 5 minutes of that movie.
Yeah.
Of this movie, like, the daughter kind of doesn't. There's a lot of times she works, like, especially when they take her to the party that's at a porn producer's house.
Yeah.
But so much of it is like, just send the kid anywhere else but here.
Well, the kid finds her way back.
Yeah, I know.
She would find her way back.
I know.
There are some bad parenting choices made.
Yeah.
that particular child, not just any child.
Right,
child is.
Yes.
But I genuinely think the scene with the elevator is one of the is the funniest thing I saw all year.
That made me laugh out loud.
Yeah. Just the way they handle the entirety of when they talk to the guy in the bar and they're like, where'd he go? Did he go on the elevator? Did you see him go on the elevator? And he's like, no, a wise old Indian told me about it. And then everything from that point forward to when they go up and then the way they come back down is the funniest thing I've seen all year.
That airport hotel bar scene is magnificent.
Yep.
Yeah. But
we can do the hard. Okay, the harder way. I guess we could do it the harder way.
Yeah.
We're already doing it a hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that movie's great. There's something missing there, and I'm not sure what it is. But I mean, still, it's my number 3 of the year, so
Yeah.
it's strong.
Yes.
Hey, Mackie. High five.
Number 3?
Number 3, The Nice Guys.
There you go.
Nice. Also coming in at number 69. Nice.
Gross.
I pretty much agree with you 100% on that. I finished that movie and I thought to myself, this movie is so close to being like instant classic. Like, people are going to be quoting this movie for hundreds of thousands of years. Like, this is going to be one of those movies that everybody's like, oh, that's my favorite movie. It's The Nice Guys. It's got to be The Nice Guys.
Right.
It is so close to that. So close to that. And I don't know what's missing. I can't figure it out. Maybe it's the daughter felt out of place at certain points. Maybe it just doesn't flow well enough. But there are so many fucking hilarious moments in that movie. Fat Russell Crowe is just the best thing in the world. I love the interplay between Gosling and Fat Russell Crowe. I'm sorry, Fat Russell Crowe, for calling you Fat Russell Crowe.
He will fight
every time. That's fine, because it will be magnificent.
I think he was fighting people long before he was fat, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fighting
So
around the
slower
world.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have a chance to run away from him. But no, that everything about that movie seems so good, with a little bit of the exception of that daughter that just feels like she almost feels like a lazy plot device from time to time. Like, they have her along just so that they can hinge the plot on her a couple times. But that's okay. I still really like it, and that movie still does some really just silly things that are hilarious. There are a couple things that are just a surprise out of nowhere, in the same way that 10 Cloverfield Lane has a little surprise out of nowhere. You're like, oh, Okay, all right, you did that. All right. Go right ahead. Move along. Please come in and have tea. It just works so well.
Yep.
I know it's a little bit messy plot wise, and that may be part of it. Part of what keeps it from being, an instant classic. But I do think people. I don't know. Are people sleeping on this movie? I haven't heard a whole lot about it.
Its fans are pretty vocal.
Okay.
But I think a lot of people still need to discover it, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch The Nice Guys. It's really, really
It'll
fucking
be
funny.
just like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, where like 3 or 4 years later, people are like, "Holy shit! Did you see this movie?"
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And we'll be ahead of the curve.
Yay!
Because I stopped by it and I was like, hey, I like Fat Russell Crowe. Click.
Yep.
Guys, my number 3 is a movie called The Nice Guy.
Hey! Nice.
I guess I'm the one that fucked it up.
Yeah, you did.
So everything we've said, those are valid reasons. I really don't want to make this comparison, but go with me on this because I'm not saying tonally it's like The Big Lebowski. It's not. It has a certain vibe to it in that it's that kind of like detective-y kind of thing in a story that doesn't make a lot of sense. Like every time I watch The Big Lebowski, I'm always like, wait, how does this resolve itself? And then at the end, I'm like, oh, right, that's right, that. Okay. I always forget, like, what the hell happens in The Big Lebowski? Like, the jokes I remember, but the plot is always just like, what? How do we get to the end of this? And then you get to the end, you're like, oh, that's right. So this, for me, is going to be that movie of over time, I'm going to remember all the jokes and watch it for the jokes and the interactions and just be like, man, this plot, I don't know where this goes. Oh, right, that's where it goes. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah. Nailed it. Good job, John.
So I always appreciate a movie where quote-unquote serious actors are playing kind of goofy, but not like super goofy, but like George Clooney in Coen Brother movies, like he's just slightly he's smart enough to make fun of himself without looking like a total idiot. And that's what these two are doing here, and I just so totally appreciate it.
Unlike someone like Johnny Depp and like Mordecai or anything. With
No,
Kevin Smith.
I don't want to talk about.
No, I'm saying like someone doing it poorly.
Yes. Oh,
Like,
yes.
like,
Like Johnny Depp in
yeah.
Yoga Hosers,
Right.
which is a garbage movie.
I'm just saying someone who doesn't.
Oh,
parody
yeah,
themselves
absolutely.
well at all.
Yes. The thing that maybe rubbed me the wrong way about this, and in addition to the plot being kind of weird and all the things we've talked about, is that, and Mackie and I were talking about this earlier, is that there's a strange bit of violence in this movie towards characters who were just in the background minding their own business. Like people getting shot and probably dead for no reason than just living like across the street from Russell Crowe at one point or something like. And the movie never addresses it. You just see someone die and it's never brought up. It's like there's this deadly murder spree happening all around this movie and no one is mentioning it until it's kind of a throwaway joke at the end, but I don't think that's worth it. And I guess like a movie that keeps hitting you with joke after joke after joke, not jokes, but like whimsy, I guess, to keep doing it so soon after someone dies horribly who had no reason to die kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Not enough to where I turned on the movie ever at all, but just like, hey, maybe stop killing background characters for no reason. It's not necessarily funny. I don't know what you're doing
there. It doesn't help anything plot-wise.
No, it's like it never pops up. Like these bodies don't pile up and then all of a sudden that solves the case or something. It's,
you got to wonder, like, because it's so gratuitous.
Yeah.
Like there must have been some intentional thing that Shane Black was going for, but I don't know what that is.
Right.
It just feels like a weird running gag. Like,
a little, but it's like it never pays off either.
Yeah.
Yeah, unlike the Nixon thing, which pays off.
Yes.
Somehow.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. So that's all of our number 3s except for Harlow.
Yep, sorry about that.
That's okay. So.
Yeah, I'm about to fuck some shit up. Are you? Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Nice guys.
No, I'm not. Actually, it was not in any of your top 5s, but it is very high on mine. My number 2 is Deadpool.
All right.
How do you know it? Well,
I've watched that. I've watched that more times in like this year alone than like I normally ever do with a movie, and like I hesitate to say this because I've well stated my love for certain nocturnal flying creature beginning movies, but like this might be the most perfect superhero movie ever made to me. Like because to me it hits on all the right notes. Like it's sincere, it's funny, it's goofy, it pokes fun at the genre. It kind of does everything, and it never feels. It feels almost like a parody of superhero movies, without like going into like airplane territory or something stupid like that.
Right. It's not a Meet the Spartans-y.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it to me it came like exactly at the right time. If Deadpool had come out 2 years earlier, I think people would still be like, "Hey, these are sacred things. You can't make fun of superhero movies." It just, to me, I think it came like right at the exact right time of superhero movie fatigue.
Right.
And man, like just the through line of heart in that movie to me is just utterly amazing. Like on repeat viewings, like the line that Miranda Baccarin says at the end is just like, to wrap that shit up. It's so good.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wrestle with this list because like I feel like I should have put better films up on my list, but fuck it, I love Deadpool. Like, and there's only one movie I love more. So.
Nice.
Yeah. My number 2 is Rogue One, a Star Wars story. We talked about it a ton. It reminds me a bit of Joss Whedon's Avengers, where like I can complain about stuff that happens in the first and second acts, but once the third act kicks in, it's kind of like, yep, this is everything I wanted. This is everything I could have possibly wanted out of this movie, and I don't care about the other stuff. Like, and that's how I felt about Avengers, and that's kind of how I feel about this one, where it's just like, all right, you're overwhelming me with awesome so much in the end of this movie that everything else is kind of like, all right, I'll let that slide. And yeah, I Star Wars is my thing. Like it will always be my thing. I think it, even through the prequels, all of that, like it would take such a streak of terrible movies for Star Wars to no longer be my thing.
3. That's how strong it is. That 3 movies still didn't turn you off.
Well, at least with the prequels, they got, in my opinion, they got better. I know people can argue all day long, but like Phantom Menace was the worst, and to me, they went up. I
agree with that. Yeah. But Rogue One is just it doesn't have the crawl at the beginning. It doesn't have the wipes. It's not doing any of that stuff.
It doesn't have the music.
Yeah, the music isn't quite right, but there's a part where I just don't care because everything else is so good.
Well, I mean, to be fair to that stuff, they did that purposefully.
Yeah.
To set it apart from the main thread stories. Mm-hmm. So it's like if you consider like the Avengers movies as the main story arcs of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then all the rest of the stuff is side story. Just, I know that's a really, like, I'm just tumbling out into space with that analogy, but
yeah, but I guess the only reason it feels like a side story is it's not a Skywalker story. Because all the main numbered ones are Skywalker stories, and this one is not.
Right.
But it's so integral to everything else that it feels odd being labeled as a side story to me.
Well, you say that, but we don't know where the new trilogy's going, except that we probably do.
Yeah.
Good point.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
No.
I don't want to.
But no, but that's
step on any.
I love it. It's number 2. I don't love it quite as much as the number 1.
That's fair. Hey, guess what? High five. Yeah.
Good job, BJ.
I don't think we ever nail it like that. Rogue One is my number 2. Mm-hmm. I loved it. The amount of time I spent sitting in that theater, just giddy as fuck. Just enjoying the hell out of a Star Wars movie. And the amount of time I spent emotional in there, like it worked so well for me. I know people have problems with it, but I don't have those problems that other people seem to have. Everything worked really well for me, and fuck yes, Y-Wings. So many Y-Wings.
Always goes back to the Y-Wings.
It always does. They are in this modern and pre-galactic Civil War era, Y-Wings are kind of the forgotten heroes, and they don't get their due except in Rogue One.
They burn for a short time, but they burn bright.
They do. Gold Leader. They had my personal Y-Wing hero, Dutch Vander, in as Gold Leader, and
Is that where you like looking at things just slightly off to the side?
Dutch Vander. Yes. But no, like I really am a huge sucker for Y-Wings, and it's dumb, but they're much for the same reason that I'm a huge sucker for the A-10. In actual real life, they're they're workhorses, and they're big, ugly, stupid-looking. They should.
Oh, so like Fat Russell Crowe.
Yeah. Well, no, Fat Russell Crowe. I don't know, but there's no reason that they should be as great as they are yet, despite all the things they have going against them. They have managed to have a lot going for them. Anyhow, that's a small Y-Wing rant aside. It starts
Paid
off
for by your local Y-Wing.
right.
Support Y-Wings. buy Y-Wing bonds.
Right. Buy wings. That's a completely different thing. But the last 45 minutes of space battle in Rogue One are just astonishingly good. There are I got some feedback from one of my friends who listens to the show and was like, I really couldn't stand the Rogue One bashing in the podcast, and I was like, what? But we really like that movie. Mm-hmm. We just there are some things to nitpick, and I've nitpicked them, and I'm done. I'm letting it stand on its own.
Yeah, I totally want to watch it again now, not in 3D.
Yeah, I really honestly like that movie a lot.
And sometimes we just need to get it out of our system.
Yeah. We're Star Wars fans, and we've earned the right to nitpick some shit.
Yeah, I've fucking been there, man.
Yeah, we have been saddled with mediocrity, and we're not used to, we've been slapped around for 3 movies, and we're not used to having, we've got one good movie we're really nervous about, so they gave us something that we're kind of used to. That was familiar, and now this new thing is a little bit new. We're not sure how to take it. New things are a little bit scary, so we want to be a little bit standoffish about them, maybe. And also, that thing, there's probably some valid complaints about that movie, but overall, fan-fucking-tastic, and it made me feel so good sitting in the theater watching another good Star Wars movie. Even though the music wasn't the same, it had no crawl, the transitions weren't there, and so many other things that were kind of unlike a Star Wars movie, it still was very much a Star Wars movie, and I loved it. Number 2, go Y-Wings.
All right, Team Y-Wing over there. That's fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to talk about my number 2 film here, and I need you guys to give me some leeway after I say its title.
Pompeii. 2.
You guys your immediate reaction is going to be angry. Just hear me out on this. I have explanations, and they are valid.
Is it Yoga Hosers?
No. My number 2 movie of the year is Sully.
Okay.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
So here's the thing about that movie. There are 2 distinctions as to why I have this so high on my list. One is that there's a running theme throughout that film of people in New York. This is all taking place over a very short period of time, immediately after the Miracle on the Hudson, the plane landing on the water. So there are numerous instances of people in New York coming up to Tom Hanks' Sully and saying to him, you don't know how much we needed this. You don't know how much the country needed this. A good story, something that could have been terrible that didn't go wrong, that, just something amazing happened. Thank you so much. And that hit me at the right time of oh my God, I need this movie. I needed a movie like this. I needed that kind of hey, you did a good thing. Thank you. You never get anything like that. You don't. And this is just such a simple, understated little story of a thing that happened, and then the immediate aftermath of it. And the aftermath of it is the safety board investigation of it. And the thing about that part that's compelling is that this government agency are just being fucking dicks about this. well, you could have done this and that, and blah, blah, blah. You kind of fucked up, Sully, and everyone's like, the country's like, no, you saved everybody. You're a hero. Meanwhile, they're threatening to, like, take away his wings and all this shit. And the movie, he shouts these people down with logic and reason and facts, and it works. He gives them this information, and they're like, well, we'll see if you're right. And then they do it, and they're like, oh, shit, he's right. Hooray! And then the movie ends, and you're like, fuck yeah, that's amazing.
The last known time, facts and logic won.
It's pure fantasy.
Was that 2011?
Yeah. So, it just, everything about it just hit me at the right time. I'm like, man, this is, it's well acted, it's well made, it's, Clint Eastwood's 105 years old and out of his goddamn mind, but he can still put together a movie, and it's good. My only complaint about it is that they try to show the crash from several different viewpoints over the course of the film, like from the passengers and from the cockpit and from like the people who did the rescue on the water, and they didn't shoot enough coverage to make each angle seem distinctive, so they end up using some of the same footage over and over again. That's just a technical flaw. That's just, we didn't get enough. Other than that, it's such a nice movie. It's just a nice movie, and it was what I needed at that period of time. So, Sully.
Hey, speaking of nice movies.
Introduce.
I honestly think maybe it's because you're plugged in. Because those wires like run under there, and I'm wondering if it's like feedback in your signal through the power cable.
It just keeps happening when your phone, like it keeps starting when your phone is close to
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're setting your phone, like,
I mean, it's like here.
yeah.
Right there. But, didn't have to be here at all. Did we get a number one?
Number one.
Damn.
Yeah. Well, it shouldn't be a surprise because it hasn't shown up on my list yet. The Nice Guys.
Hey,
That's my
hey.
number one. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't think there was like a, with the exception of Deadpool, like there wasn't a moment where I just came out of the theater smiling more, like than having seen that movie. And I think it's a little bit because I love Iron Man 3. Don't get me wrong, but like it had been 11 years since a proper Shane Black movie, like like not just I'm hero for hire kind of thing, like I'm here to make my movie.
Yeah.
So like that, it was just like, yes, please, like for the love of God, we've been waiting. Where's your thing? So like it was like a little bit of like that relief of like, man, I've been waiting for this and it delivered, and fuck yeah, I'm super happy and pumped about it. I 100% agree with what you said because I haven't seen it since I saw it in the theater. I'm struggling to put the plot points together in my head right now.
Yeah.
But like I remember the moments of the movie, and that's what's important to me right now. I mean, I probably couldn't. I can now because I've seen it enough times. I couldn't probably after like 2 viewings. I couldn't have told you the plot of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I mean, I could have told you, like, well, there's this scene and there's this, but how did that get okay?
Yeah.
I over time that got muddied until I watched it enough times, and I just haven't done that yet with Nice Guys, but I know I will.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that guy gets me. I mean I've continually just listed movies of his among my favorite written movies ever, and it just happens that he's a pretty competent director too, once they gave him that chance. So yeah, to me, it's a no-brainer. I feel we talked to Nice Guys.
Good choice.
Yeah. All right, my number one is Hell or High Water,
Hell yes.
which is much like kind of Chuck was saying about like a movie hitting at the right time. I feel like this movie got really lucky coming out in 2016 because it is very much, it feels like a thing that says, for lack of a better way of putting it, this is how Trump happened. Like everyone in this movie is at the end of their rope.
Yeah.
And to tell them America's great and it's a wonderful place, they're like, fuck you, it's not.
Yeah.
We have nothing. Like, and it shows like the desperation and there's just a desperation throughout the entire movie. And there's also that, there's a speech that Chris Pine has near the end where he basically says like, I've been poor all my life and you feel it every day. You feel this fear of being poor, and I don't want
It's like he said it's like a sickness that spreads.
Yeah, and I don't want my kids to have that fear for the rest of their lives. Which is kind of it's. And there's also, I mean, it goes a bit too far at certain points, especially like the speech from Jeff Bridges' partner, who's I believe he says he's Cherokee.
Yes,
at some point.
Cherokee and Mexican.
Yeah, where he says, basically this was our land, and then you guys came and took it, and now it was your land, and those fuckers took it, as he points at a bank. And it's kind of like, all right, we get it. Like, we understand that part. But it's interesting also in that, like, Jeff Bridges, despite being on the complete opposite end of the spectrum from the guys who were robbing the banks, you could easily see that guy voting for Trump because he loves like to rag on the Mexican heritage of his and Indian heritage of his partner nonstop. Even when the guy's like, dude, fuck off. And he just keeps going because he's like, oh, you like me because I'm a rascal who tells it like it is. And it's kind of like, and it's sort of funny, but you're like, no, that guy fucking hates it.
Yeah.
And he hates you. But you have to work with him every day.
I do love the line where he's like, I'm half Mexican, right? And he's like, I'll get to the Mexican thing, but I'm done with the Indian insults.
God. And its structure, it feels like one of those, like a book that was adapted to a movie, because it's got a very much like, especially towards the end of the movie, it's got a very No Country for Old Men vibe where it feels like it wraps up in a similar way where it kind of feels pointless. But then when you think about it more, it's like that stuff at the end was the point of the movie. And I just, and then I haven't even mentioned Ben Foster, who like give Ben Foster a piece of shit to play and he's going to be the best possible piece of shit you've ever seen in a movie.
Gleefully so.
Yeah. And there's just it's a movie that feels so real to me. Like there's a scene where basically someone snipes someone else and the reaction that he has after doing it feels like one of the most realistic things I've ever seen in a movie. Like this weird mix of like adrenaline, like yes, I just did this, but also holy fuck, I just did that, and like this really weird realistic reaction that they stick with.
Yeah.
For maybe longer than they should, but it feels right. I think it's a phenomenal movie. And I think like coming out this year was the best possible thing that could have happened for it. And yeah. And also, I mean, it's a gorgeous movie with a gorgeous soundtrack. I mean, like everything about it works. It's the only movie I gave 5 stars to this year. And it deserves it. Number 1. Nice. Hell or High Water.
Y'all ready for the surprise of the podcast?
Oh, geez.
Yoga hosers.
No, absolutely not.
I'm ready.
Ready?
Yes.
Number 1. This is my favorite movie of the year.
Right.
And this is for very specific reasons.
Better than all the rest.
Yes. My number 1, my favorite, the one that shocked me at how much I liked it, was Hardcore Henry.
Oh.
Wow.
It is... I know people hate it for that first-person view, and some people just can't get over it. And I understand that. People are susceptible to motion sickness. I didn't watch it in theaters. I watched it in my house on a reasonably sized TV. And to be frank, Star Trek Beyond gave me more motion sickness worse than Hardcore Henry. For one, because I'm used to looking at things from a first-person perspective and, head bouncing around, play first-person shooters, all that.
Sure.
And for 2, like the sort of unnatural angles of Star Trek Beyond, like spinning into things and doing some, that crazy camera stuff that people like to do, which works for some things. But anyhow, Hardcore Henry was mainly because of the first-person thing, but it was different. It was surprising. I didn't really know a whole lot about it going into it. Like, I didn't know plot or details. I knew it was first person. I knew it was gruesome. And that's about it. But it's an interesting sci-fi movie. It's got an interesting concept. It does the thing that we like movies to do, which is when you have a choice between being plausible and being awesome, go awesome every time, and you will rarely fail. And it does that almost without fail or without reservation. It just does things. It does cool shit that looks great. It's stylistic as fuck, even though it's like this dreary Russian or Eastern European like nightmare town. Wherever, I don't remember where it's supposed to take place specifically, but it just looks like, you know, Ukraine, Chechnya, whatever, just bombed out everywhere. Mixed with some actual really stylistic locations. Like it's sort of it's like crazily high concept in some ways, where it goes to a couple spots that are just fully fleshed out and gorgeous and weird. The performances are, for everybody else but Sharlto Copley, they are interesting, at least. The blonde-haired guy is just wacky, and I
love that he's an anime villain.
Yeah, he is, and he's just bizarre and bonkers. They don't bother explaining it at all. They don't try to. They don't mess with it. It's just a thing that exists in this universe, and they run with it because it's awesome. They just let it go, and I love that. The female lead does a great job of doing things similar to, like, she's like that video game foil MacGuffin, whatever the proper film term is.
Red herring? No, that's a thrower off.
No, she's the reason that you go do things.
Right, yes.
She's that guiding, advancing force that, like, it's very much like a video game. Like, we do a lot of positing and actual doing of making video games into movies. This is like making a movie. Like making a movie after a video game, but it has no tie to any, you know, actual established universe, and that's great. It just feels so. It feels frantic and raw, and it's paced really well. You feel like you're going for a long portion of this movie, and then you get to Sharlto Copley, who is just outstanding. Like, he is bonkers in all the right ways. He, like, I know it's cleverly cut to hide the transitions between those characters, but man, that guy has 19 roles in this movie, and he just nails every single one of them. And a lot of them are silly in a fun way that sort of breaks up the gore and violence. It's like a video game that's an hour and a half long and is fairly funny and weird, with just no explanation. Like, it's like you accidentally found the world's quickest, greatest, high fidelity video game, but you sat down to play it and it just ran through itself. It's so weird, like. And it's so directed. It feels like I have so many feelings about this, and I haven't had a lot of time to process them. Like, it's like a little bit of Mirror's Edge, and a little bit of Borderlands, and a little bit of anime, and
I appreciate that so many of the stunts, I don't know how they did them. Like, especially with the cars on the freeway. It's like, I don't know how you guys did this shit.
Yeah.
Like, you either had, like, insane stuntmen, or you were able to hide it with CG or something. I don't know, but there are so many things in that movie. I'm like, how the fuck did you just do that?
Well, comrade, in Ukraine,
and then
stuntman life is cheap.
And then you have videos of guys just walking along the edge of skyscrapers, like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a cartwheel on this crane top.
Yeah.
Right.
If you watch that one video, the guy, it's like the little triangle points, and he's just hopping between them. That's like 40 stories up. It's like,
yeah.
The fuck's wrong with you, guy?
So maybe they just got those guys and were like, all right, you're going to jump from this semi truck onto a motorcycle that's on the highway.
Oh yeah,
do it.
It's cool, no problem. Got it.
Yeah.
I do it yesterday too.
I do for fun on weekends. It's fine.
No GoPro.
But
how fast? No, that's too slow. Faster.
Motorcycles be going fast, yes. 60, 70 kilometers. But it's just, I don't know how they shot it. I don't know like what they did if they shot it with just some really nice camera that they mounted on some guy's chest, or what exactly you're smiling like you have an idea.
No,
maybe. Okay. It seemed like you were about to crack that smile that said you had a secret.
No, I think they just killed some people and didn't tell us.
Must be
The most hardcore of Henry.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
But I mean, all in all, it as soon as it kind of busted out of, or as soon as it kind of eased out of that first 4 or 5 minutes that everybody's seen that part of, where he's like waking up and the foot's going counterclockwise all the way around. As soon as it just kicks out of that, it just blows wide open and is such a fun ride, and I did not expect anything at all, and it gave me everything. It was great. I had so much fun watching that. Like, I was astonished, and I tried to keep my excitement to... I didn't want to get all exuberant and crazy about it on Twitter because I didn't want to spoil this moment of telling everyone that it's fucking bonkers great. I loved it so much.
Nice.
Anyhow, I've talked way too much this episode in general, so I'll shut up and move
good,
on
man.
to your number one.
No, you watched movies, man. It's awesome.
And I'm caffeinated as fuck, so I can. My mouth can keep up with my thoughts.
That's
so,
fantastic.
Wait, calf is like caffeinated as fuck.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh man, you should go into marketing.
Yeah.
That shit's dope. Okay. So I guess I'm last. The final number one of 2016.
You're always first in my heart, Chuck.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Mackie's going to be very pleased with me. My number one choice is Hell or High Water.
Hey, I liked that movie.
Yeah, I just heard. I agree with everything you say. I also had that running thought during it, like, okay, I get it. I get why someone would vote for Donald Trump based on like this economic situation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's why he won, but I get why some people were like, yeah, fuck everything. I'm voting for the guy who's going to fuck everything
When you
up.
have nothing, you got nothing to lose.
Yes, absolutely. But I think the thing that totally won me over about that movie is there are so many what feel like completely real moments in that, and I don't know if they were scripted. I don't know if they were improvised, but every time one would happen, it just left me like I wasn't watching a film necessarily. Like I was watching just like somehow invading this world. There's a scene where the two brothers, there's no audio on it. It's just music is being played. It's like dusk and they're standing out in a field and they just start roughhousing with each other. And I guarantee you that was Ben Foster just like, I'm going to fuck with Chris Pine.
Yeah.
Because Chris Pine kind of reacts to it like, you crazy motherfucker, what are you doing to me? And they just kind of tussle around a bit.
He gets one hit on him where he's like, you motherfucker.
Yeah. Yeah. And that moment just to me seemed like, wow, scripted or not, that is just an amazing moment of, okay, I believe these two people are brothers. The whole Jeff Bridges, like, really just giving it to his partner, and then how that changes on a dime at a certain point. It's just like, I believe that. You know, I believe this guy is a genuine guy who's an asshole, but probably cares more than most people combined about certain people. And I feel like I keep saying this about movies I liked this year, but there's very much a Coen Brothers vibe to this.
Yes.
To the point where I was calling it like a season of Fargo that was taking place in Texas. Like when it starts, it's kind of wacky. It's kind of like a Raising Arizona kind of bank robbery kind of thing where it's like, they're doing it wrong and people are like, son, you got a panty on your head, and it's just like, this is silly, goofy. And then by the end, but by the end, it's like, oh man, this is dark. I mean, like it goes places, but the tone is perfect and the soundtrack is perfect. And it's just, God, the last scene is just like, so good in terms of what it does. Like I will not say what it does, but the last scene is just so perfect.
Yeah.
It just, I think like you and I have been talking about movies this year, Mackie, where it's just like something about movies just aren't sealing the deal. Like nothing is just, you get to the end and you go, oh fuck yes, that was fantastic. This one you get to the end and you go, oh man, yes. Pitch perfect. Every note in that movie hits exactly the way it needs to.
Yeah.
It's got character. It's got just detail. It's got, there were going back to the realness thing, like I could swear some of those restaurants they went into, like the one in particular, like that had to have been a real waitress that they just ran into on set one day who gave them the spiel about T-bone steaks.
Yeah. Oh my
what do you
God.
not want? I mean, man, just that was the only movie this year that when it was over, I was just like, oh yes, that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There are just God. There are so many real conversations that happen in that
Yes.
movie. Like when they're talking about like when Ben Foster's talking about the sweet ones, and then you get them in bed and they're crazy, and he's like, I don't know, I never had a sweet one. He's like, yeah, and
Well, after meeting his ex-wife, it's like
just the perfect thing he says. He's like, yeah, well, you always pick the ones that we're looking for somebody to blame. Mm-hmm. And he's like, and then he's just like, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Just
that was perfect. Like I said, it was perfect timing after having met his wife, and she just looked like, oh, you piece of fuck.
The people who wrote and directed that have some life experience. I mean, they were not just pulling that out of thin air. That has to come from a place.
Oh yeah.
Like they might have grown up there, or they know stories or something. But this is like real Earth people. Like it's not movie characters. These are actual people, and the situations that they get into are not perfect in any way, and things go horribly wrong, as they should, but then kind of don't. And it's just life. I mean, there is no neat and tidy ending to any of it. It is just the way life is. And then you go away, and it's like, well, we'll never know. And then it's like, that's life.
Yeah, I think I'll say only in my defense of where it is on my list is, I think because of how real it gets. Like, I'm not saying like I like my movies to have a bit of fantasy. Like that's just. I mean, why I enjoy this better than like I enjoyed something like No Country for Old Men is I can see both sides. Both sides have a valid point.
Yeah,
and No Country for Old Men is like, here's guys trying to do good, and here's this fucking evil specter that you have no identification with whatsoever.
Yeah.
You can never, ever remotely even identify or sympathize or look to him. He's just fucking death incarnate.
Yeah.
And so, like, to me, that takes me out of the movie, because it's like, well, this I can look at both sides and go, yeah, maybe you're going about it wrong, but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So that's why I liked it better. And it is, like I said, it's probably just not higher on my list because at a certain end of the day, I go to movies for fantasy.
Yeah, and there was a place where there's a late game scene in that movie where shit gets real, like to a point where I was like, oh man, I don't know if I can stick with this, because like shit just got real, and I don't, like, what side are you on at this point? I don't know what to do here, but I still think it plays out exactly how it needs to. It just, I don't, there's one of the robberies doesn't go well, and it's like from that moment on I'm like, oh man, my perspective on what's happening here has changed a bit. But yeah, I just that movie.
Well, when the least realistic thing in your movie is that beautiful clerk would sleep with Ben Foster, you've done pretty well.
Yes.
When that's the least realistic thing.
Yes.
But
yeah, that's, man, that is, I'm so glad that I went back to that movie. That movie was not advertised properly. I remember seeing commercials for it and just being like, the fuck is that?
Is it all action and shootouts and stuff?
Not really. It's just kind of goofiness. It's none of the realness. It's just like, here's a wacky, look what Chris Pine's up to this week. It's like,
yeah. And that's the thing, is there is humor in that movie.
Absolutely.
It's that Coen Brothers brand of humor, where it's just like, you've gotten to know these characters and you understand the way that they're interacting with each other. Just like the whole thing about Mr. Pibb versus Dr. Pepper.
Yes. Oh man, that's like 2 lines of dialogue, but it's so fucking perfect. It like fits perfectly.
Oh, yeah, that's the joke I was going to mention earlier. That's my fucking favorite line in the movie, but I didn't want to spoil it if anyone hadn't seen it. It's so good.
Yeah,
so good. That's like the best brotherly exchange. Like that is so something my brother and I would say to each other.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a fantastic movie. Everyone should watch it.
Yes. Including BJ.
It sounds like I have to watch this movie.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So I might watch it when I get home.
Do we usually try to come to like the one Golden Jocks based on our rankings? I thought we had in the past.
It's only happened because of like Fast Five. We were easily able to declare
right.
that.
I thought we like took an average like
we nearly have a consensus with this one. I mean,
what, me or Hell or High Water? I mean, you haven't seen it at all.
yeah. Well, I'm just not with Hell or High Water. I mean, just with this year.
Yeah, I mean, Nice Guys is up there.
I was
going
to say, I think The Nice Guys is the one we all saw that we all put in the top 5.
Yeah.
Anybody else have? I mean,
That's the only one
fucked
that-
up
I
Rogue One
didn't see
for-
Rogue One.
Yeah.
Deadpool is an honorable mention for me.
Yeah, I just feel like it was a weird year.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I only have one 5-star movie. And that's my number one,
Yeah.
you know, which, you know, a process of elimination.
Yes.
Well, also,
But-
did you see fewer movies this year?
I did.
Yeah.
It was a lot of catch up at the end of the year. Because
Yeah.
normally I make it to the theater a lot more. And there's stuff like Doctor
Yeah.
Strange and Magnificent Seven that my wife and I are like, we're going to see that this weekend, right? And then it just, the next weekend, like, well, we'll have to go see it next weekend. And then it just like, you know, and then we're like,
Yeah.
oh, the people we're going with, they want to see The Accountant, you know? So it's like, all right, well, I guess we're seeing
You got to
The
stop going to movies with those people.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
They're your neighbors, right? You just hang
Yeah.
out with your neighbors.
But yeah, I guess
So,
we're
there's your
unofficially
message for-
naming a Golden Jocks.
Okay.
Just based on we all saw it, it's all in our top 5 and
Yeah.
fairly
I mean,
high.
it's really good.
It's
Oh,
really
yeah,
good, yeah.
absolutely.
There's no reason to, like...
I mean, if we had to come to
Yeah, I'm
consensus
not like,
on any movie.
hey, it was my number one. Fuck yeah. I'm just, you know.
I mean, if we needed to white smoke or black smoke, you know,
Right.
we could
Yeah.
white smoke.
Yeah, there'd be a new pope.
Yeah, there'd be,
Yeah,
Nice Guys is the new pope.
I would have no
Nice
problem
pope.
with the Golden Jocks being anything in my top 5. Like I,
Yeah.
adore,
Oh, yeah.
I adore them all. That's why they're there.
Yeah. So,
Anyway,
man,
wow.
Anyway,
jocks are golden.
yeah.
Yeah, if you've made it this far, you know how to get in contact with us. We'll be back
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
week.
hey-
I just this year was a weird year for me because like it's been such a bad media year for me. I have just basically retreated from so much stuff, and I think I'll go into depth on some stuff a little bit more next year, or not next year, but next episode. On,
You gotta wait till 2018 to hear
Yeah.
from you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
But hey, write us. Tell us what your favorite of the year was.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanna know.
BMF at BMFcast.com or 9105 BMF.
Yep.
Get in touch with us. We want to hear from you. Tell us how we're wrong or we're right.
No,
Whatever.
don't tell us how we're wrong.
No, I'd like
they
to hear
can.
it.
Okay, I can
Yeah,
handle it.
and I know
All right.
like there's stuff people can make the case for stuff that we never saw, like The Arrival. None of us saw that. So.
Well, I saw The Arrival. It came out. It said Charlie Sheen in it. It's pretty good.
The other one.
Oh, Arrival.
Yeah.
okay.
Arrival.
Yeah.
The not dark and
Not the
gritty
backwards,
remake.
not the backwards bending knee aliens. Anyway,
Yeah.
all right. Well, let's get out of here, shall we?
Okay.
That's-
I'm Harlow.
I'm Mackie.
I'm BJ.
I'm Chuck.
And this is BMFcast out.
Bye, we gotta go home.
Golden Jocks complete. That was a really good episode.
I agree.
Solid.
Golden Jocks usually is.
Mainly because I actually had opinions on things.